This coming Monday night at the Sundome, there's a very important World's Heavyweight Championship match featuring World's Champion Ric Flair going up against the man that I feel is soon-to-be champion, Wahoo McDaniel. This match is going to be a 2 out of 3 falls match. Ric Flair, the World's Champion, is very unhappy about this. He had an interview earlier with Gordon Solie. Let's go to that interview now.
The Battle of the Belts will take place on Monday night, September 2nd, in Tampa, the University of South Florida Sundome, a history-making event in professional wrestling. For the first time ever, the AWA Championship on the line, Rick Martel facing Nick Bockwinkel, and the Road Warriors defending their AWA Tag Team Championship, and the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair, a man who many says has become a legend in his own time, will be defending the 10 pounds of gold against Wahoo McDaniel's 2 out of 3 falls, sir.
Well, obviously this is the biggest wrestling extravaganza ever take place anywhere in the Southeast. I'm the world's heavyweight champion, and let's face it, without me on the card, Gordon Solie, it'd be just another great wrestling program. Now it's number 1. Now CWF, the National Wrestling Alliance, Tom Smith, Gordon Solie, I know it's taking place. You think that you put me in a corner that the great one, whoo, and I mean the great one, can't come out. 2 out of 3 fall. That means I might be flying in this case I'll be coming all the way from Honolulu to defend my title against one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And yes, I'm the first to admit it. You're not 7 times All-Pro in the NFL. And for 15 years, the number 1 man in wrestling, I'm talking about Wahoo McDaniel. You're not all those things if you're not a hell of a man. But Wahoo, I'm telling you, and I'm telling CWF, and I'm telling the NWA, that I'm the man that makes things happen. I'm the World Heavyweight Champion. And I'm going to sail through 60 minutes, if need be, without even breaking a sweat. 2 out of 3 falls. This is mine. And yes, I'm upset because I've bled and I've sweat and I've paid the price to be the world champion, Gordon Solie. And Wahoo and CWF and NWA, if you don't think that I'm the man that I say I am, then show up September 2nd. Because, woo, we're going to end it once and for all. 2 of us will walk that aisle, 1 of us will walk out. And you take a damn good look at the greatest thing going today. Woo!
You know, it's quite obvious to me that Ric Flair is running scared. And I'll tell you, you know, Wahoo, I have been around wrestling a long time, and I do know for a fact that in a 2 out of 3 falls match, everything is definitely in your favor.
Well, you know, buddy, I don't know whether everything will be in my favor or not, because, you know, Ric Flair is a great athlete. There's no taking away from him. 3 times the world's champion. I've wrestled the man many times. And I'm not fool enough to know that this might be my last chance at the World Championship. You know, I've had a lot of chances. I know a lot of guys that wrestle their whole life and never get 1 chance at the World Champion, but I've had a lot of them, and I'm not saying I haven't. But I have taken the man the longest, the hardest of anybody in wrestling today. And I want to tell you, Flair, up front, I don't think there's any man in wrestling today can beat me 2 falls in 1 night. And like I said, this may be my last chance, and I guarantee you one thing, Flair, I'm going to take advantage of it, because this may be my last hurrah. And I guarantee you one thing, I'm going to be the next NWA World Champion.
Now, we also have with us here Billy Jack Haynes. Billy Jack Haynes is going up against ravishing Rick Rude, the holder of the Southern Heavyweight Championship, Monday night in the Battle of the Belts. And this is another title that could very well change hands.
I want to say real quickly, if I can, Buddy Colt, Wahoo McDaniel is my partner. We're U.S. Tag Team Champions, and we're very proud of that fact to be representing Florida, and the Sheep is ready for Ric Flair. And all I can say is I think he's going to be new world champion there. And I'm going against Rick Rude, and I think everybody knows the situation between Rick Rude and myself. Rick Rude's a tough competitor. I'm not going to put him down. I don't put anybody down, because professional wrestling, the NWA is the toughest in the world. And I think there's a VTR that they're going to show here of Rick Rude and myself in action. And it seems like Percy Pringle, his manager, is always getting in the way, and that's been the major problem. And I don't know if they got the VTR. There it is right there. is in the Tampa Sundome match that we had for the title, Southern Heavyweight title.
So, right here I feel that Billy Jack Haynes, you and Ravishing Rick Rude are two of the most perfectly developed wrestlers that I have ever seen. So it's going to be a tough match anytime you two come together. But this also shows, too, that manager Percy Pringle is quite concerned. He knows that you have the upper hand on Ravishing Rick Rude, and he's afraid that you just might be defeating Rick Rude for that title Monday night.
Percy Pringle, without a doubt, is one of the slickest managers in professional wrestling, probably the top. He's always looking at the corner of his eye. He's very tricky, and he always puts his 2 cents whenever it counts, especially when his men are in trouble. And Rick Rude is one tough competitor. He doesn't need any help from the outside. There's Percy trying to get in the ring right there.
That's right. Well, Percy Pringle stays ringside all the time, which is an intimidating factor. He's a distraction. He tries to get you looking his way so that his man, look at that. Look at the power there that you have just pressing this man completely overhead. That's a long ways down, and Rick Rude's in a lot of trouble right there. And I tell you, manager Percy Pringle, I'm sure he feels that one of these titles that his men have is going to be gone. Well, did you see that? Look, he came right in the back there. Absolutely. Okay, now it looks like maybe Percy Pringle's going to be paying some dues.
Well, he distracted me and saw Rick Rude knee, took advantage of it. He hooked me, you see his legs on the rope, and the referee didn't see it. Fonzie's a great referee. He's the best in the business, and they're so tricky. It's not his fault. It's just the things I have to watch out for. Try to make a little comeback here. But, I don't know.
Well, I think Monday night will show exactly what's going to happen, and I wish you all the luck in the world on gaining the Southern Heavyweight Championship.
Let me tell you something, road hogs, road warriors, whatever you want to call yourself. Harley Race hasn't been in the state of Florida in a long time. I'm not coming back to the state of Florida to get my behind kicked. I'm bringing with me one of the meanest, toughest men in wrestling today, Stan Hansen. The combination of Hansen and Race is going to show the road warriors that they are, in fact, hogs. They're not wrestlers, they're pumped up balloon hogs. And we're going to walk out of that ring with the belts. Guaranteed fact at the Sundome, right there in the Sun Capital in Tampa. The Road Warriors are going down. They're going down to Hansen and Race. The biggest happening in the state of Florida is in the Sundome. It's not your plastic garbage.
The Battle of the Belts. Live from the Sundome in Tampa, Florida. The Florida Heavyweight title, Jack Hart versus Kendall Windham. The Southern Heavyweight title, Billy Jack Haynes versus Ravishing Rick Rude. The AWA World Tag Team Championship, the Road Warriors versus Harley Race and Stan Hansen. The AWA World Heavyweight Championship, Rick Martel versus Dick Bockwinkel. And the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, 2 out of 3 falls, Ric Flair versus Wahoo McDaniels.
And indeed, we are live and direct from Tampa, Florida, and the University of South Florida Sundome, where tonight it is going to be indeed history-making in professional wrestling as we bring you the Battle of the Belts. NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair getting set to defend his title tonight. 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit against the challenge of Wahoo McDaniels. Hello, everyone. I'm Gordon Soley, and welcome to the Battle of the Belts. We've got a great 3 hours in store for you. And bringing you all of the color analysis along with me this evening, a man who has been a professional wrestler for the past 12 years, a second-generation competitor. He has held literally every regional and national title imaginable, both amateur and professional. Mike Graham. Mike, welcome aboard.
Hey, Gordon, it's good to be here. It's a little different sitting out here and going to be watching some of the greatest wrestling in the world today. You've already run down all the names, and I'm just excited I can be part of this. I feel the biggest night in professional wrestling in the United States history.
Certainly no question about that. And, of course, I might point out, too, that we will be having some very interesting interviews upcoming from the locker rooms later on in the evening. And perhaps now might be a good time to switch to the locker rooms and check with the gentlemen who are standing by there, two great former athletes themselves. I'm referring, of course, to Coach John Heath and to Buddy Colt. So if we're set for those interviews, let's go, I believe, first to Coach Heath.
There's excitement outside, and there's excitement in this dressing room, right where I'm standing. Excitement and anticipation as I am surrounded by the biggest stars of the AWA and the National Wrestling Alliance. And out of this dressing room tonight, 3 of these men going for titles. And we'll be right back later on during the program with interviews with some of the contestants. And let's go now to Buddy Colt.
I'm in the dressing room with many of the top wrestling stars in the world, such as the Road Warriors and their manager, Paul Ellering, Nick Bockwinkel, NWA wrestling champion, Ric Flair, and many, many others you'll be seeing in action here tonight.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, it really, even to be here tonight is somewhat of a miracle, with Hurricane Elena dawdling around outside the coast of Florida for about 12 to 14 hours, and I know I lost a few shingles off the roof of my home, but I know you suffered some pretty bad damage at your home.
Well, fortunately, only lost, you might say, a swimming pool. A lot of other people were very unfortunate. You know, they had to evacuate almost 500,000 people out of the Tampa Bay area just night before last, and they're just now getting back to some of their homes today, and some of them have lost their homes. So it's very tragic, but it's lucky that we're here at all.
And I will say this, we've got the Crippler and the Grappler coming toward the ring right now, but that's one of the reasons we will not be seeing Rick Martel tonight. Martel is tied up with air traffic coming into Florida. Is absolutely impossible right now. But we're coming up with our first match, and it's going to pit the Guerreros against the Grappler and the Crippler. Let's go now, I believe, to our ring announcer, Chet Clark.
Wrestling fans, this is an Australian tag team match. One fall with a 30-minute time limit. Introducing from Homosassa, Florida, 248 pounds, Rip Oliver. His partner, weight unknown and parts unknown, a masked wrestler known as the Grappler. From Mexico City, Mexico, having a combined weight of 480 pounds, the former World Tag Team Champions, a brother tag team combination, Hector and Chavo Guerrero.
And we'll be back with this match and all the action forthcoming right after we pause for these important words. All right, ready to roll now with this match. One fall, 30-minute time limit, and this area is still being battered by bad weather. We've just had some electrical outages in the area. We've got a tremendous thunderstorm going on. The Sun Coast has been battered for the last 3 days, and again, we're having more power problems. There you see it. We do apologize for that, but it's something totally beyond us. The Grappler out there against Hector Guerrero, and Mikey is wasting no time in putting those fists to work.
Well, you know, the Grappler, of course, his main point would be his strength and his size. He's got Hector Guerrero outweighed. Of course, Hector is a speed merchant. He's quick, he's agile on his feet, and he's got to use his conditioning and everything to try to defeat these larger men. Grappler coming in, like you said, trying to hurt the smaller man right off the bat, but it didn't work for him.
All right, the Crippler and the Grappler outside the ring now, and it's Hector Guerrero inside. Hector just finished making a movie in Hollywood, California, and has just recently returned to action. And so it's the Crippler now. Rip Oliver moving in, and Chavo Guerrero moves in. Guerrero brothers, of course, at one time held the World Tag Team Championship. A very, very powerful pair of competitors. Even though they do give away a bit of size, they have a tremendous agility and great ability in the ring.
You know, both girls, of course, coming from a wrestling background, they were brought up every day from day one, thinking and learning wrestling. And They use their agility to their advantage. They use their size to their advantage. They make their opponents carry not only the what they weigh, but their weight also, and that helps wear a man down.
The crippler got with a flying head scissors just a moment ago, and now the tag is made, and it's Hector Guerrero moving in, crashing down on the arm of the crippler, Rip Oliver, and so it looks to me, Mike, like the Guerreros are out to cripple before the crippler.
Well, like I said, they've got to be very aggressive. Their high point or their strong point is their conditioning and being in good shape, and they've got to use both themselves against one man. They've got to use that tag to their advantage. They've got to get a man in the ring and wear him down.
And it's the crippler bringing Chavo Guerrero up in the full body slam. Came down with that elbow, but Chavo Guerrero slips to the side. Good spin under takedown by Guerrero. Makes the tag with Hector Guerrero.
In fact, there was just a good thing or a good point to make in that Chavo had good control of the man, had him wrist locked, but Rick Oliver's strong enough to just physically pick the man up even when he was in good control. So that's what I'm saying about they've got to wear their opponents down. They've got to tag in and out and use their conditioning to their advantage.
And you may be seeing a slight difference in your pictures at home right now. We've just again lost another bank of lights due to this severe electrical storm that is taking place here in Tampa, Florida at this particular hour. And again, the lights are back up full bright. And so we're back in action, and let's hope that Providence spares us from any more of those kind of problems. And by our way, our feelings certainly go out to all of the people in the upper Florida Panhandle and the Gulf Coast of Mississippi. They took the brunt of Elena earlier today, and fortunately we heard that there were few injuries, and we're certainly pleased about that. Guerrero's double teaming very quickly as the grappler and the crippler tried some double teaming. They found out that the Guerreros apparently, Mike, as you had said earlier, did a lot of studying, and the grappler and the crippler suddenly found themselves here at the short end of the stick, so to speak.
A lot of times when you're a team like there, you know what your opponents, you can feel your opponents. That's one thing about the wrestling. They call it a mental and physical game of chess. And you can set a man up just like the amateurs do for a single leg, double leg, fireman's carry. You can set a man up in pro rank for the same thing. The girls are probably one of the best tag teams as far as knowing what they're capable of doing, working together as a team, paying attention to the man in the ring, and they've got their stuff together all the time.
Certainly no question about that, and it's Chavo Guerrero stalking the grappler now.
5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Circles to his left, watches him carefully, moves in, collar and elbow. And it's a side headlock now by Chavo Guerrero. Referee is Bruce Owens. Again, the tag is made, and Hector Guerrero moves in.
Right now, Hector trying to cut his man's breathing down. The headlock puts a lot of pressure on the jaw, and
it appeared the crippler got a shot in there on him as he came off those ropes.
From this angle, I couldn't see what happened. Hector went into the ropes and almost just dropped like he'd been shot.
Grappler now, overhand right, another one, and now catches Guerrero in the pit of the stomach, and it is Guerrero dumped right into the center of the ring by the grappler. The grappler has taken a lot of punishment from Guerrero and has proven that he can take it and dish it right back. Guerrero makes it up to the ring ropes. The tag is made. The crippler moves in. It's the crippler moving up on that top rope. Catches him a rapid punch with the base of the elbow to the base of the head of one Hector Guerrero.
Hector in a very dangerous situation right now. He's in there by himself. He's got two large, strong men that have him down. They have him in control. That's a very dangerous position to be in. He needs to try to regain himself. He needs to get a break long enough. He needs to tag out and get his partner in the ring.
Reaching out, but he is too far away at this point. Massive bear hug now by Rip Oliver, the crippler.
driving that shoulder into Hector's diaphragm, cutting down his breathing. You can't take a breath with a man's shoulder stuck up in you like that. And you can see the strength going out of Hector the longer he stays up there. He's got to get his arm slid down in between, try to hip toss the man out, go down into a slam. He's got to get loose and get tagged out.
Referee checking very carefully now. Notice Guerrero got that arm inside. Got the arm inside. That's going to give him some surcease and enough to break it. Good counter by Hector Guerrero. And Guerrero tried to dive over and make the tag and missed the tag. Missed the tag. A tough break for Guerrero.
The size of athletes today, not just in wrestling, but in football, basketball, baseball, are so big and so awesome that a good 200-pound man has got a hard time beating a good 250-pound man, and that's what we're seeing right here, right now. The Guerrero's probably one of the best teams around, but these men are bigger and stronger and in great shape, and it's just making it real hard on them.
Is indeed over the ropes now, and again, there you see the crippler with a front chancery utilizing the ring ropes as well, and the referee's attention is diverted, and it's Guerrero being punished by the team of the grappler and the crippler. To Hector Guerrero.
Hector in a lot of trouble. He's got to get out of there. He's got to try to regain. He's got to try to get his consciousness long enough to get to that corner and tag out.
That ring is 20 by 20. That can be the longest 20 in the world when you're trying to get over there to tag up.
I'm telling you, I've been in that ring, like you said, for the last 13 years. And sometimes it's just, forever and ever. Like they say, so close, but yet so far. And right now, it's so far for Hector Guerrero.
Guerrero hurtled through the ring ropes to the concrete on the far side of the ring, and Chavo Guerrero, as you can see, going over very, very quickly to offer some assistance to his fallen brother.
Boy, I've been thrown out of that ring 100 times, and it's so dangerous. That concrete floor is very unforgiving. One ding in your elbow or your knee. A lot of times fans throw something if the floor is wet with a Coke or something. You try to hit on your feet go right out from under you and smack right on your head. You need to stay in the ring. It's tough enough, but that floor is dangerous. Plus with that steel railing around the ring, that's a very dangerous place to be right now.
It is indeed, and once again, Guerrero trying to get back in the ring. The crippler caught him in the top of the head with the flat of the foot. Drove a knee into his side that time and then catches him with a foot again. And now Chavo Guerrero charging into the ring. Guerrero moves in, and the crippler very quickly backing away. But now you'll notice on the left-hand side of your screen, there was the grappler catching Guerrero outside near our timer's table.
I not meaning to break in. I realized to try to get the best videos that they can. But the wrestlers are going to try to take advantage of all the tables and things around the ring, just like you just saw. I know exactly what they're thinking, and the tables for the cameramen to stand on can be very dangerous.
Guerrero coming up very, very slowly, being assisted now by his brother Chavo Guerrero. Remember, this match, one fall with a 30-minute time limit. We're coming to you direct from the University of South Florida Sundome in Tampa, Florida. Irish whip on Guerrero. Guerrero somersault free. Catches him with a good cross-body block coming off the ropes. Near fall. Great second effort on the part of Hector Guerrero.
That's just what I was talking. He saw that little open. He saw that chance for an offensive move. But there he goes again. A lot of times you think he's down, but he's thinking all the time. He's just waiting for that chance.
Guerrero bought up, full body slam by the grappler. And the grappler meant to use his head as a battering ram, and it was Guerrero ducking away from that.
Right now, best chance Hector's had in a long time to get out of that ring. Boy, you can get turned around. There's no landmarks or anything. All those ropes look the same, and it's easy to lose your direction.
He just barely missed the tag. Those hands crossed, but just did not make contact. And so it is Guerrero, Hector Guerrero, still in trouble in the ring. He needs very, very badly to... A good block by Guerrero. Trying to bring him up a vertical suplex, and Guerrero continues to block him. Reverses the situation on him. Both men get those shoulders off before the count. Guerrero coming up slowly. The crippler makes the tag. It's the grappler moving into the ring. And the grappler taking a cheap shot at Chavo Guerrero. And so Hector Guerrero is over in the corner, but Chavo is not there. Chavo is not there.
Boy, Gordon, I know how hard it is. When my father and I wrestled as a tag team, it's hard to stay in there. For me to stay outside and watch my father get hurt and vice versa. And right now, these two brothers, Chavo should have been in the corner, but because of his brother's injury and being hurt, your emotions take over, and you can't wrestle emotionally. You've got to think about what you're doing and think what's best to win the match.
And it is Guerrero in trouble now, as he does not have a sleeper hold per se, but apparently that arm is coming down across that carotid artery. Guerrero gets that arm up in the air, Harvey. Yes, you can see it now. And apparently it is not down solidly across that artery, and consequently Guerrero is still getting a supply of that life-giving fluid into his brain, so he is not losing consciousness. In fact, the matter is, with the crowd roaring behind him, it is Guerrero regaining his feet. He fires to the midsection of the grappler, fires again. Again, another right hand that takes him off his feet. Guerrero tried to get over and tag up, but they tripped him up.
Hector right now seems to be reviving some. A lot of times you'll catch your second wind and try to get that second wind and make it in there. He's thinking, making aggressive moves, offensive moves, which he needs to, and still trying to get to his brother and tag out.
Again, Guerrero short-circuited in his attempt to get over and tag up with Chavo. I'll tell you what, the grappler and the crippler have got some strategy working here. That good block by Guerrero, and Guerrero used the atomic knee drop very effectively. And it's Guerrero making the tag. Chavo Guerrero charges the ring.
Chavo coming in with a lot of fire. He's been on that apron now for about 5 minutes. The adrenaline's flowing. He's been watching these guys beat on his brother, and he's ready to get him right now.
Somersault, the reverse somersault once again. Brings him up. A beautiful head single.
Coming in with a victory roll. Hector coming off the top rope on his brother man. Right now the Guerrero brothers are almost out of control. They don't really care about wrestling. They've had enough. That Mexican blood's coming out in them, that fire and aggressiveness, and they're coming after these two.
The crippler pounds away now at the side of the head, and now the grappler. Now it's the crippler and the grappler. And they've got the Guerrero brothers in trouble once again. Good reversal here. And a standing guillotine. Guerrero toppled over that top rope. And the referee knocked to one side. And the grappler loading that boot. The grappler loading the boot. He caught the crippler. He caught his partner. And now they're outside the ring battling. Chavo Guerrero and the grappler outside the ring. Hector Guerrero over to the crippler, and the count is on. The count is on. Hector Guerrero scoring the pinfall after the grappler inadvertently booted his own partner. And let's take a look at... I'll tell you what, those Guerreros are something else. They were quick to seize advantage, and now we're going to take a look at it once again. There you see the grappler definitely loading that boot. That's about a 13-pound boot. Watch now as Guerrero ducked to one side. The grappler caught the crippler. The crippler caught, the referee is down. Now watch as Guerrero pulls the grappler outside the ring. Hector coming back into the ring, dazed and battered from this match, manages to get over, and Mike, that's all he needs is to get that hand across it.
That's right. Any form of control at that point for that 3 count is all it takes.
And that's what it did take, and so the victory goes to the Guerrero brothers. For the official word on this, however, let's turn to our ring announcer.
The winner in 15 minutes and 40 seconds, Hector and Chavo Guerrero.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a situation here, and now getting set to move into the ring, followed by Miss Maxine, the very, very popular Coco Samoa. And Miss Maxine, that's 6 feet 4 inches of a lady, and she's going to make sure that Miss Brenda, who comes out with the hustler Rip Rogers, does not interfere in this match. Coco Samoa over that top rope. There's Miss Maxine waiting now for the appearance of the hustler Rip Rogers.
This match, one fall with a 45-minute time limit. Weighing 235 pounds from the Isle of Samoa, accompanied by Lady Maxine, Coco Samoa. Coco Samoa. His opponent from Los Angeles, California, weighing 228.5 pounds, accompanied by Miss Brenda Hustler Rip Rogers.
All right, we'll be back with this match right after we pause for a couple of important messages. Hustler Rip Rogers in the pink, along with Miss Brenda. And on the other side there, you see it, a lot of the fans that make that reference about Miss Brenda. Meantime, Lady Maxine on the opposite side is with Coco Samoa. Rest assured that if Hustler Rip Rogers has any interference in the match by Miss Brenda, Miss Maxine will be right there to take care of it.
I tell you, this Coco Samoa is probably one of the most impressive young wrestlers here today. He's not very, very tall, but I'll tell you, he's strong as an ox. He's agile. He's a champion of martial arts. He's a tremendous pro wrestler. And this Rip Rogers isn't going to be taken lightly either, though.
Rogers complaining to the referee, and Miss Maxine out there indicating her indignation at the fact that Rogers would even make a charge like that. And so Rogers circles his man, closes in. Once again, Rogers behind his man. Good standing reverse now by Coco Samoa. And I'll tell you what, I've said it before about Samoa. A lot of people are quick, Mike. This fellow's sudden.
You're exactly right. He's sudden and he's tremendously strong, you know. He bench presses over 400 pounds. He is not an avid weightlifter, but just that natural feminine ligament strength gives him that ability.
I've noticed one thing, too, about a great deal of the Samoan wrestlers. All of them extremely well-proportioned. Powerful thighs, powerful biceps, powerful upper bodies. And Coco Samoa just proved that with his takedown on Hustler Rip Rogers.
You know, when you can stand right beside a man and wrist lock him like that and have the strength to take him over backwards, you're doing something, because Hustler Rip Rogers does get in that gym a lot. He works out continually. But it's hard to beat that tendon and ligament strength.
And so Rogers, back to his feet once again, gets over to those ring ropes. That'll force the break. Good clean break by Samoa. And so Rogers now getting a little circulation back in that left arm. Circles his man. A little bit on his bicycle, perhaps now closes in collar and elbow. Gets the full arm drag and twist on Coco Samoa. Samoa built like a miniature version of a Sherman tank. And it is Rogers barring the arm. Samoa back. Upended Rogers.
Well, Rogers attempting to do the best thing he could. Get his man down and try to weaken a point of him. If you wanted to turn a table over, you'd try to pull one of the legs out from under it. Same thing with a human being when you're in there wrestling him. If you want to hurt a man, if you want to beat your opponent, you've got to, number one, get him on his back to pin him or make him give up. The only way to do that is hurt one of his legs, one of his legs or one of his arms. In that case, Rogers was going after his shoulder, putting a lot of pressure on it, trying to get a weak point to give him a little bit of an advantage.
Rogers now driving that shoulder into the midsection of Coco Samoa. 3 times. Now the full arm drag and twist. Tries an Irish whip. Reversal by Coco Samoa. Almost got one of our cameramen at ringside here as they move up on him. And it is Samoa brought up by Rogers. Full body slam. Rogers now. Glancing blow, but look at Samoa. Double leg pickup. Rogers breaks it up again.
Miss Maxine watching very attentive right there, just waiting for Miss Brenda to make a move. And I think that's why Miss Brenda hasn't been involved, and they stand back out of the way. I don't think she wants any part of Miss Maxine.
I'll tell you what, that is a big lady. 6'4", and I guess one doesn't discuss women's weight, so we won't get into that, but she is a big, well-proportioned lady. Up against those ropes. Rogers. Cheap shot on the break. Cheap shot indeed. Samoa down.
You've got to be thinking in that ring all the time. You've got to figure everyone's out to hurt you. You can't try to be sportsmanlike almost with anyone. You've got to be out there to win. You've got to be out there to protect yourself at all costs and take care of yourself and go after that match.
Miss Maxine out there now giving Coco Samoa a bit of a helping hand. And Rogers trying to close in on Samoa. Catches him coming through the ropes. Rabbit punch to the back of the head. And it is Samoa driven into the turnbuckle, then caught. An uppercut-like blow from the hustler Rip Rogers. Rogers snapmares him back into the ring. And Samoa has been slowed. Mike, as you said many times, they get that second wind, and that's exactly what Samoa needs at this point in time.
Well, a lot of times you'll get stunned, and you'll lose your awareness for a little while. It takes a couple of minutes to get your breath back, to realize, get your head straight, and like you said, to catch that second wind, and then you're on your way.
Rear chin lock now by the hustler Rip Rogers. The referee had checked that to make sure it was not a choke. And Samoa now trying desperately, and it looks like that adrenaline really beginning to flow. And Rogers may be coming down across that throat a little bit dangerously close. And he did. The referee signaled to him. He broke it. And now it is Rogers unleashing some heavy artillery on Coco Samoa. Rips across the eyes of Samoa. Has him back to the canvas once again. It looks like Rogers may have cut him off at the pass on that second win.
Boy, he sure did. Rogers is a very aggressive wrestler. He's been wrestling for a long time. He knows all the shortcuts. But I tell you, Gordon, panning out through the crowd just a minute ago, the people, the sports fans of Tampa Bay have always supported their professional athletes, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the wrestlers, with 500,000 people evacuated from the Tampa Bay area in the last 2 days. This beautiful University of South Florida Sundome, which seats almost 10,000 people, is practically full.
It is indeed, and it is Coco Samoa crashing down. Rogers rolled to one side, just barely in time. And so Samoa took the full brunt of that. And you can see Miss Brenda issuing some comments to hustler Rip Rogers. Rogers with another rabbit punch behind the head of Coco Samoa. Good block by Samoa.
Coco stepping under, putting his weight down, back hooking the opponent's leg, trying to get the man set up just for the reversal. Exactly what I thought he was going to do. Beautiful suplex by Coco Samoa, which has his man down and stunned for the moment.
Close-up shot, and you can see some of the pain coursing across the face of the hustler Rip Rogers as he's beginning to move a little slowly now. But again, he comes back totally aggressive. Samoa now with a headbutt, and Rip Rogers tied up in those ropes. And Samoa losing his temper. He's got a stationary target, and he's taking advantage of it. Samoa slashing away at the hustler Rip Rogers. Rogers broke free and ducked to one side, and Samoa took the brunt of the ropes.
Whenever you try to take advantage of a situation like that with a man tied in the ropes, he could be playing possum on you. He could be getting ready to get out and waiting for you to make your move. That's why every time you do something, you've got to be thinking about it very carefully before you do it.
And it's Rogers who could be in trouble here as Coco Samoa gets him into a rolling, but it was Rogers breaking it up once again.
Slamming his legs across on Coco Samoa's ears, very startling feeling when you're there on the verge of victory and all of a sudden you get your ears run.
Rogers lashed out with a boot that time, caught Coco Samoa around those pectoralis majors, and now moves in with a lateral press. Samoa powers out. And Rogers unhappy, thinking it was a slow count. It was not a slow count. And Samoa fires from the midsection. Samoa catches him. Again, Rogers staggered, and Rogers back up against those ropes and hanging on.
Coco Samoa giving Rogers some of what he's been giving out, using those ropes, using that hair. If he gets one way to fight fire is with fire, and that's exactly what Coco's doing.
Coco Samoa, and you can hear the nearly 10,000 people here at the Sundome registering their agreement with Coco Samoa to mete out some punishment, and he did exactly that. Foot on the rope. Rogers had enough presence of mind.
Yeah, managing to get that leg over the rope. Knew he didn't have the strength to kick out or to get the man off of him. Putting his leg over the rope like that to break the count.
Rogers missing with the right hand, Samoa connecting, and Rogers wants a timeout. Mike, that's something that just doesn't happen.
Well, not in this particular sport, it doesn't. Once that bell rings to start the match, you're in there till the end.
Hip toss now by Coco Samoa. Samoa up with a drop kick. Takes Rogers back off his feet once again into a lateral press. And again, that foot over the rope. He's thinking.
In a lot of other sports, you have different breaks, different rest periods. Boxing, of course, you've got rounds with a rest period in between to give you a chance to get your breather. That's one thing that makes wrestling a little different. It's solid contact, solid body contact all the time.
It is Samoa back to the canvas once again, and you could hear Lady Maxine issuing some words of encouragement, double thrust into the throat. Samoa lashes out with a foot, a mule kick to the back. And it's Samoa now exploding with a hard right hand. Rogers is doubles up, though. He took all of that punishment, came right back in to dish out some of his own.
You can see this match is taking a toll on both Coco Samoa and Rip Rogers. They're both slowing down some. They're not have that fire and aggressiveness they did at the very beginning. And of course, to get in the ring and wrestle 10, 15 minutes, that's an object in itself. Samoa, get the abdominal stretch. That is a submission hold.
Miss Brenda charging into the ring and interfering once again. And the referee's attention was completely diverted. Now the referee telling her, and wait a minute, Miss Maxine just got in there. And that will make a difference. Count of three. A count of three. Well, Miss Maxine returned the favor of Miss Brenda. No question about that. And there you see her escorting the somewhat shorter Coco Samoa out of the ring. And Miss Brenda, a picture of absolute irate fury. And I'll tell you what, let's get the official word from our ring announcer. Following that, we'll be taking a quick break. And then
the winner in 11 minutes, Coco Samoa. The winner, Samoa.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment. Yep, we got Percy Pringle leading out the Florida heavyweight champion, Jack Hart. Hart, originally from St. Petersburg, Florida, 1979 high school amateur wrestling champion. And Percy Pringle, his mother was trying to get here tonight for the matches. She is watching us up in Mobile, Pensacola.
Introducing now the Florida State Heavyweight Wrestling Champion from St. Petersburg, Florida, 228 pounds, accompanied by his manager, Percy Pringle. Jack Hart, the Florida Heavyweight Wrestling Champion.
As I was saying, Percy's mom tried to make it down, but with the weather and the Hurricane Elena hitting up in her area, and they caught a lot of the fringe of that she was unable to, so we hope that she's catching us over WPMI and getting a chance to see her son Percy Who, Mike, I guess one would have to say has to be one of the most successful managers in wrestling today. I wonder how he and Paul Ellering, the manager of the Road Warriors, who we'll see later, get along.
We know that I agree he has been very successful. He and Paul Ellering are a little different stature. Paul was a former world's deadlift record holder, power lifter, great wrestler before he turned manager. Percy has got a pretty good brain. He's got the ability to control some people. But I tell you, the thing that I'm excited about sitting here is I know I've been out there. Kendall Windham's heart's got to be going 9,000 miles an hour right now.
Hart wasted no time. Kendall Windham, who is a rookie, and that one caught him off guard. And he made that one mistake. He came just a little off guard. And Jack Hart is very quick to take advantage of that. Ooh, right across that abdominal wall.
Hart's not giving him a chance. Kendall, of course, has only been wrestling a couple months. To have an opportunity to wrestle for the Florida heavyweight title at this young point in his career is just unbelievable. Of course, Kendall comes from a great wrestling background. He's got a lot of life ahead of him. He's got the frame. He's just going to have to get the aggressiveness that it takes to be a pro wrestler and get in that gym, put on some weight, and hopefully he'll go without any severe injuries, and he'll have a great future ahead of him.
Well, I'll tell you, if it comes to fighting Hart, he's got that, all 214 pounds of it. He just fired back to the midsection of the Hart. Caught Hart again. And let me tell you something, when that young man throws a punch, it's going to be felt. He was twice Texas amateur Golden Gloves boxing champion. And, of course, a second-generation wrestler, has competed all of his life. And, again, Jack Hart gets a snapmare and takes him to the camera.
Kendall right now is probably awfully confused to be out in front of a crowd of this size and on national television. It's scary enough, and he tried to warm up a little bit. Of course, Hart, the veteran, the current Florida heavyweight champion, as soon as that bell rang, he didn't give him a chance because Hart knows Kendall does have the capability of defeating him. So Hart's not going to give the man a breather. If he's smart, he'll stay on him and try to put him away.
Rear chin lock now by Hart, and Kendall trying to get an elbow moving against the side of the rib cage. There you see Percy Pringle, who is constantly at ringside when his men are out there. Irish whip off the ropes. Kendall ducks away. Kendall caught him. He came at him like a Discovery rocket. Fires again to the midsection, but Hart
taking the shortcut. A lot of pro athletes, unfortunately, do take those shortcuts. I know from being out there, and a lot of times, I guess they're paying their bills. They're competing. They don't have any guarantees. They don't have salaries. If they get hurt, they don't get paid. The winner gets more money than the loser, so it's every man for himself. And everybody's got to do what they think they've got to win that match.
I don't know if you can hear that voice or not, but Percy Pringle shouting and gesticulating to the cameras and all, and he is many times a picture of rather impotent rage. Windham ducks to one side, and it is Hart catching that turnbuckle. And Windham again fires the midsection. He's been concentrating on, and he gets him in a backslide. Let's see if he, no, sir. Hart broke away from it.
Kendall right now thinking a little slow. Whenever you're out there and you've got all those people watching you, anyone sitting out there that is a professional athlete knows how you get the jitters. It takes a while to get settled down, to get your mind completely into the ring. And I think that's Kendall's problem right now. And of course, Hart's not giving him a chance at all.
Well, Hart is a merciless competitor and has picked up some of those traits, of course, from Percy Pringle, who, well, as I've said before about this man, somewhat of one of the evil geniuses of management. And you see again the intensity with which Pringle exhorts his men to do their utmost. Kendall Windham coming up and the referee admonishing the Florida heavyweight champion, Jack Hart.
5 minutes.
I've noticed now that Kendall has really been concentrating on the midsection of Hart.
Well, you know, Kendall's been at quite a disadvantage. He's been on his knees. He's been beaten and pounded on. When you're back like that, you'll throw fire to the midsection like that to try to stop the man's breathing, to try to get him hurt. Right now, of course, with Percy running around the outside, giving Hart all kinds of incentive, building his ego, you might say. And, of course, Kendall constantly wondering. Nice three-quarter Nelson by Hart, going in for the pin, trying to... No, not yet. Kendall's still too strong, still not quite down enough to get pinned like that. Of course, Kendall thinking about Percy running around the outside of the ring. That deterrent, that thing, breaking your concentration, makes it hard when you're in the ring.
All right, a little bit later on, of course, we're going to be watching Stan Hansen and Harley Race in action against the Road Warriors. And we might be switching in a bit here to the dressing room and see if we can pick up an interview with one or more of those competitors. If we should do that, however, obviously the action continues here for the Florida Heavyweight Championship.
Kendall right now in a lot of trouble. Obviously been hurt. Hart now antagonizing him, which could be a mistake. I've always been one that if I could beat a man, I'd beat him. A lot of times, like men like Hart like to try to build their own ego by when they've got someone. There's Kendall, nice. Oh, not quite enough. Didn't have that strength to pull Hart over backwards. Didn't catch him quite off guard enough. Hart just dropped a fist right between his eyes. Kendall coming off those ropes, Hart hitting him with an elbow in the middle section, trying to cut down his breathing and get him hurt.
Again, Hart hooking that far leg, and it is Kendall who is in a lot of trouble now, Mike.
Kendall fighting to stay in there, fighting to keep his mental awareness. The abdominal stretch, very, very dangerous. You can rip a man's shoulder out very easily. It's unbelievably hard to breathe when you stretch around backwards. Referee making Hart break the hold, so I'm used up holding the ropes for added advantage.
Snapmare by Hart now takes Kendall back to the canvas. Kendall rolls to one side, gets away from it. Much to the delighted response of the crowd. And it's Hart back on his feet, and Kendall lashes out. Kendall is 6'4". That 214 pounds stretches out a long way. Bear hug now by Hart.
Like you mentioned earlier, Kendall twice Texas State Golden Gloves boxing champion, so he knows how to use his fist. If he's out there wrestling, but if push comes to shove, Hart better beware because Kendall could probably drop him pretty good.
That was a good block that time as Hart tried to throw a hard right hand at him. Kendall blocked it very nicely, came off the ropes and fires again to the midsection. Enough percussions to that midsection, and Mr. Hart's going to have a lot of problem bringing in some air. Polo-like forearm by Jack Hart. Another one.
Hart right now being a little cocky. Being cockier really than he should. Kendall is in trouble. He is hurt, but he's not one to take lightly. I've been watching his career. I've been watching him almost every night. He's coming along unbelievably well. He's got so much heart and determination that I just know we could be looking at one of the potential world's heavyweight champions.
Bit of outside interference that time on the part of Percy Pringle. Not enough to really create a telling change in the match, but again, with somebody like Kendall, who is young and relatively inexperienced, that extra agitation from the outside can mess up his thinking.
Well, you're exactly right. Even with an experienced veteran, when you know that guy's on the outside and you wonder, well, is he going to try to grab my foot, come in the ring, what's he going to do? And Percy does have a reputation for interfering in matches. But right now, Jack Hart, with his knee in Kendall's spine, pulling his head over backwards, just getting everything out of line. The nerves running through your hands and fingers are just all kind of tingling right now for Kendall, and he's in trouble.
And he goes to a Russian sickle, trying to get it firmly established. Now posting that, started to post the arm. Comes back to the sickle once again. And you can see again Percy Pringle exhorting his man to really put the pressure on. Pringle
Percy trying to yell at him to get that pressure high on the chin, get his head over backward. If you're low on the chin and the neck area, the man's got a much stronger chance of blocking it, of course, with his neck strength. But when you get out on that chin, it just gives you a lot more pressure, a lot more leverage.
Pringle, of course, knows what the reaction of the crowd can do to an opponent, and if they're solidly, if you got, Mike, and I'm sure you would attest to this, if there are 10,000 people solidly in your corner rooting you on, it does many times give you that extra burden, extra added strength.
You're exactly right. Kendall right there making a very good counter. I've said before, whenever you leave the mat, whenever you're up in the air, you've got no defense. You're going one direction and there's no way to stop it. Kendall watched the man climb up the rope, knew he was going to be diving at him, waited for his feet to leave the turnbuckle, and then got out of his way.
Kendall Windham now in some fantastic second effort as he drops the Florida heavyweight champion. And it is Kendall Windham, and the crowd has really brought him to life again. Tremendous second effort here, and Kendall Windham catches him. That beautiful forearm that time. And Hart is down, and Windham drives into the chest. Near fall for Kendall Windham. He looks like he's trying to set for the stampede.
Taking that moment, taking that time, thinking if he should or not. You don't have time for that in the professional ring. When you're out there, you better be out there to win. If you give the man a second chance, there's a good chance he's going to beat you on that second chance.
Hart misses with that glove, and it is Kendall Windham, a beautiful cross-body block. We got a new champion. We have got a new champion.
I can't believe it. I cannot believe that at this stage of Kendall's life, he has won the Florida heavyweight title. That was a chance of a lifetime. God, he's got to just be going crazy right now.
Kendall Windham charging around the ring. Believe you me, this is one of the most intense. Here is, see it again in instance. We got it in replay. He misses with that hard swinging right hand. Now watch Windham. Comes up, perfectly executed cross-body block. Takes it and completely stunned the Florida heavyweight champion, Jack Hart. The referee, Bruce Owens, down there. There's the 3 count. And now let's take a look at it. And again, you're seeing it from another angle as he misses there. Tremendous execution as he came down. You could see the impact that drove the air out of Jack Hart. Windham hooked that far leg very securely, and that gave him that necessary 3 count. We have seen truly a stunning upset. If this doesn't bring this young man Rookie of the Year honors, I'm somebody else.
I predicted it. I've seen 100 young wrestlers come along. Kendall's got what it takes to be a winner. That's the difference. He's got the heart and determination. Hit that man on a full run with 220 pounds, perfect placement on his chest, hooked the leg as soon as they hit the deck, and it was over.
Okay, well, we've got a new champion in Kendall Windham, and right now we're going to talk to the only man ever to hold the World Heavyweight Championship on 7 different occasions. He's in the locker room now with Coach John Heath. Let's go to John Heath.
Well, congratulations to Kendall Windham, a new Florida State Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. And as I told you earlier in the evening, I was surrounded by the biggest stars of the AWA and the National Wrestling Alliance. However, there's no star that has ever been bigger and brighter than the man who's standing next to me right now. 7 times World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion Harley Race, who tonight will be going up against the Road Warriors for the AWA World Tag Team title. And his partner, none other than Stan Hansen, who at the present time is the PWF World Champion. And Harley, a few thoughts on your title match tonight.
Well, let me say this. Before the Road Hogs even existed, Larry Henning and myself held the AWA heavyweight title for 4 consecutive years. We were never defeated for it. Hansen and I their title switch right here tonight. But the upmost thing on my mind right now is the outcome of Ric Flair and Wahoo McDaniels. Because let me tell you this, I don't care who wins it, I don't particularly like either one of them. But when it comes right down to where it all's at, it all boils back to Harley Race and my opportunity for number 8 I stood up for about a year and a half and I said, Harley Race will have number 7. Harley Race will dominate wrestling. Well, I've proved it true. And what I'm standing here telling you right now is point blank fact. If the Road Warriors have got the guts, you'll see another title switch. And then, Flair, Wahoo, please believe me, I'm going to have a ringside seat because I'm very interested on the outcome of that one because number 8 is the dream. And 85 is going to bring number 8 back home.
Thank you very much, Holly. And that does it from here.
Okay, there you have it. It is Harley Race being interviewed, and now we're seeing a brief look at the brand new Florida Heavyweight Champion. Look at that intensity. We'll be back with more action on the Battle of the Belts after these words.
Southern Heavyweight title match. 1 fall, 1 hour time limit. Introducing first the challenger from Portland, Oregon. 255 pounds, the master of the full Nelson, Billy Jack Haynes. Southern Heavyweight Wrestling Champion from Beverly Hills, California. 245 pounds and accompanied by his manager, Percy Pringle. Ravishing Rick Rude. 1 fall, 6-minute time limit.
All right, Ravishing Rick Rude, former National Arm Wrestling Champion, the Southern Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. Got to say one thing, Mike, about this man, Percy Pringle. He just had a crushing defeat, and yet I guess hope springs eternal within the human breast, because he's right out there with the same kind of intensity he had before. But don't you know, inside he's really got to be worried now.
You know, that's what it takes to be a winner. Is you've got to take a loss and take it in stride and be aggressive and go after it. Because if you get all brokenhearted, you get down in the dumps because you lose, then you might as well not compete.
Look at this standoff between these two right now. Ravishing Rick Rude and those deadly cold eyes of his. And he is facing, you know, I never realized before he has about an inch advantage in height on Billy Haynes. But I'll tell you what, you talk about two tremendous athletes, two men in absolute fantastic condition. We're seeing it here.
Well, Rude is so cut up, so muscular that it almost is deceiving how tall he is. Of course, Billy Jack being thicker and heavier, bigger legs, strong upper body, but Rude is just a phenomenally trained athlete, and like you said, of course, a couple inches taller than Billy Jack, and he trains hard, and he is tough in that ring.
Look at the conformation and muscular definition on this man. Ravishing Rick Rude. There is no wasted flesh on him whatsoever. Lean and mean is about the only way you can describe him. I think Billy Jack, the more perfectly proportioned athlete, from the standpoint of equality of development, the thighs, the upper body, the legs, the arms, all a little more in proportion, but what a contest this is going to be. One fall, 60-minute time limit.
Probably two of the best in shape athletes in the United States or world today. Both great wrestlers, both young, very competitive, got all their futures ahead of them. And this tends to be probably one of the best matches we'll see in a long time.
And a big 60 minutes. Right now as the bell rings, and it's Ravishing Rick Rude. And Billy Haynes immediately doing a bit of a psychological warfare. Rude knows right now that the crowd is not with him. They are with Billy Haynes all the way.
Neither man wanting to be that first one to make the contact. Both wanting to try to psych their opponents out. Guys that get in the gym and lift a lot, try to physically intimidate each other. But I tell you, I don't think Rude is going to physically intimidate Billy Jack Haynes.
No, in fact, the matter is, I noticed while Rude was posing, that Billy Jack very nonchalantly stood over in the corner as if to say, well, okay, if you want to pose and show off your muscles for a couple of seconds, go ahead. I think Billy Haynes is going into this match very, very confident that he's going to walk out as Kendall Windham did. Aha! Well, Haynes giving him a little bit of power posing too. With a little signal there that indicated what he thinks of Ravishing Rick Rude. And all right, let's see what happens now.
Of course, you can see the thickness in Rude's wrists and hands. A lot of guys have big biceps or big forearms, but power comes in the wrists and hand area, just like in the elbow areas, knees, and wrists. You can build muscle tissue in the muscle area, but if you don't have the joint to keep them together, you ain't going to make it.
And a tremendous struggle now of will and strength and balance here between these two. And neither man really able to gain the advantage yet. And Rude brought up by Billy Haynes, an atomic knee drop. Beautiful drop kick by Billy Haynes, and Rude outside the ring. Almost made it over to, there you can see the Tokyo broadcast crew at a table immediately adjacent to ours. Nice to have them here in the United States and bringing these all-important matches around the world. Southern title, of course, representing 9 southern states. They also have the AWA Tag title upcoming. And, of course, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. The NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, the oldest and largest sanctioning body of professional wrestling the world over, encompassing all 50 states and 17 foreign nations. And Pringle becoming more than somewhat upset. So far, his evening's been a disaster, and he is a nervous cookie right now.
You know, there's a lot of money on the line. Losing that Florida heavyweight title is going to take a lot of money out of his pocket. Of course, Rick Rude is the current Southern heavyweight champion. Percy's probably looking at the potential of losing both the Florida title and the Southern title in the same night.
And you sounded like that wouldn't disappoint you too much.
Well, you know, it wouldn't, because I am a professional wrestler. I am in the competition. I've never had a manager. Don't care to have one. When the man gets in the ring, it should be in a one-on-one situation, and may the best man win.
Excellent philosophy and extremely well put. Billy Haynes now with a side headlock on Ravishing Rick Rude, has the Southern heavyweight champion down. Mike, let me ask you, I would think that Billy Haynes is not going to move the least bit recklessly with Rude. I would think he's going to be very, very calm and methodical.
Well, they have had a couple matches against each other before. They know each other very strong. They should by now have figured out their weaknesses and strengths. So they're both going to be a little bit slower, a little more positive, and like you say, try not to make a mistake, because in a match with two men like this, the first one that makes a mistake could be the one to lose the match.
Test of, you've seen the Bighorn Sheep do it. And here are a couple, and that time Billy Haynes was a step ahead, leapfrog into a high back run. And
Go for
Haynes
the full Nelson. Go for the full Nelson. That's it. I've never seen anyone come out of that yet.
He's into the ropes. Into the ropes.
That's the only thing that could have saved him. I've seen Billy Jack wrestle now for about 3 years. I have never seen anyone come out of his full Nelson.
And very closely adjacent to us is one of the many artists in town who have really become extremely interested in sketching our wrestlers, and very, very nice piece of work going on there. No question about that. Once again, 5 minutes into this match now, 55 minutes remaining. Billy Haynes, very proud of his affiliation with the NWA, as you can see emblazoned across the back of his tights. Meanwhile, ravishing Rick Rude's center of concentration seems to be on himself. Simply on one side and ravishing on the other side.
Well, you know, the National Wrestling Alliance is the largest and oldest governing body of professional wrestling in the world today.
Billy Haynes now with a rear chin lock on ravishing Rick Rude. Haynes is being very cool, very methodical in his approach against ravishing Rick Rude. He's letting Rude hot dog, if you will, and the ego of Rude is something to behold anyway. That could get in his way, Mike.
You're definitely right, because when you're in that ring, a lot of times that ego, trying to show off or trying to be cocky, you're not going to be successful. You've got to be thinking about winning at all times. Right now, Rick Rude is being controlled by Billy Jack Haynes. Both of these men, of course, weighing 240 pounds plus, which, looking at them, you wouldn't think they were that heavy, but they're thick, they're in shape, and they're 240 pounds of muscle in each one.
Rude, one to the midsection. Haynes doubled momentarily, goes to a side headlock. Referee now, Bill Alfonso. Bill, by the way, qualified to referee professional wrestling, boxing, and full contact karate.
Ooh, cutting him off with that clothesline, putting that 19-20-inch arm right around his chops on a full run. It just really catches you off guard. Not only the forearm hit you in the face, but when it knocks you over backwards, the back of your head slams off the mat, almost like getting whiplashed in an automobile accident.
And it is Rude very quickly closing in on this. And Billy Haynes hanging on and almost through the ropes. Rude catches him once again, and Haynes is out of the ring. And notice now that Percy Pringle, with a healthy respect, now moves into the ring. And this battle's gone outside the ring. It is ravishing Rick Rude. Wow!
Almost knocked the monitor off the desk from the railing on the other side of the ring.
We are just behind the security area. And as Mike pointed out, the impact of that railing just about took our monitor away from us.
Well, of course, that's why that railing is around the ring, to keep the wrestlers out of the people's laps, and of course to put a barrier there for over-anxious fans that think they can get in and help their favorite, to give them a little thought, because when they're stepping over that barrier, they're stepping into no man's land.
That is a fact, and that's a good piece of advice for anyone. When you go to the matches, it's exciting here on television. It's twice as exciting in live action, so no matter where you happen to be watching right now, be it Dallas or Houston or Oklahoma City or Boston, Pensacola, Miami, it doesn't make any difference. You get a chance to get out and see these matches live, it's just twice as exciting. But there's a lot of electricity here at the University of South Florida Sundome, and Billy Haynes in a lot of trouble outside, and ravishing Rick Rude quickly again trying to take advantage of the situation.
It was thundering outside the building, going for that suplex. It was thundering outside the building a while ago, and it was rattling the cameras. And that sound of 500 pounds of beef coming down in the ring like that thundered louder than the storm outside.
No question about that. And right now, the Southern champion, a kidney punch on, and now goes for that Russian sickle. And I'll tell you what, Billy Haynes won't concede. That's a submission hold, but As well as you know, Billy Haynes, and as well as I know, the word quit does not belong in his vocabulary.
You know, that's right. That's why in the short period of time he's been wrestling, he's been so successful. Because he's got so much determination, so much physical ability, and he can block pain out of his mind sometimes. When he's hurt and he shouldn't be going, he keeps on somehow. Of course, Rick Rude is the current Southern Heavyweight Champion. That just shows the ability that he's got.
All right, simply ravishing Rick Rude, and it is Haynes trying to slip away from that, trying to escape, turns into his man. Rude, in desperation, catches him a rabbit punch to the back of the head. Irish whip off the ropes. Haynes ducks away. Haynes caught. Ooh, high backdrop. Came down high on his shoulders there, Mike.
Almost came in straight on his head. I've seen a couple men do that, and it immediately lights out. You don't fall 10 feet, stand on top of your head, and stay conscious. It was very, very dangerous. Haynes almost coming in on his head, barely getting to his shoulders. I can't even believe he's moving the way he is right now.
Rude again concentrating, using powerful blows to the kidney area of Billy Haynes, and Haynes beginning to really show some effects from that. And this may mark the difference in the match.
But you know, you've got a man of Haynes' ability, you've got to get him hurt. This isn't like amateur wrestling where you're going for points. You've got to hurt your man enough to make him give up or to pin him. And you're not going to pin a 240-pound man's shoulders to the mat for a count of 3 unless he's extremely tired or really hurt.
And right now, Billy Haynes appears to be in a lot of trouble. And Rude now has stopped being cocky. Now Rude is just being mean and vicious. Haynes fires back, and Rude retaliates in kind. Haynes fires away again. And we've got the makings of a Pier 6er here. Fewer punches by Haynes. They had some effect on Rude, but Haynes really beginning to suffer around the back area.
Well, Haynes trapped in the ropes like that with the ropes coming off both sides of you. You can't get planted to throw a punch. Rude had him standing straight up. You can't throw a punch standing straight up. Of course, this is wrestling. Both men in there trying to fight, trying to do what they can to win. Rude going for the suplex, Haynes blocking it, reversing it. Suplexing, ravishing Rick Rude. Both men down, both men tired.
And tired they should be. This has been an all-out battle since it started. When you stop to think about the average amount of actual body contact in a professional football game, it amounts to about 14 and a half minutes. These two men have been going close to 15 minutes right now, which means they've really had enough body contact to constitute an entire football game. And it's Rude coming off the ropes, and it is Billy Haynes. Rolls to one side, much to the joy of the crowd. Rude coming up very slowly, and the crowd going wild now as they're shouting more and more encouragement to Billy Haynes. And it is Haynes now very definitely in control. And how quickly the tide of battle can change.
You know, your momentum, the crowd cheering, one move, one thing, you can catch your breath, you can see you're getting your man hurt, and when you know you're getting ready to come back, when you feel that surge of life going through your body, there's that clothesline, returning it back to Rick Rude the same way he had delivered it to him. I think even with more impact and more aggressiveness.
Billy Haynes now moving with a little more confidence, a little more purposeness, and backbreaker now on the Southern Heavyweight Champion. This match has taken its toll, and Haynes is having a lot of problems with the lower back.
Haynes now working on Rude's back. Side salto, backbreaker, trying to wear his man down.
Took that far leg, but Rude was able to power away, and you can see Percy Pringle, and he's got to be getting pretty desperate at this point in time because he's lost the Florida title, and he looks at losing the Southern title is almost imminent.
Right now, I'm sure that he's a very worried man because, like I say, those titles mean money, and having both of them the way he did, look at the strength in Billy Jack Haynes. No. Over there.
Trip up.
What happened to it? I saw the cane go flying in the air. Could you see from your angle what it was?
Wasn't positive. It appeared to be a trip up to me. And Haynes is caught from behind as he went after Percy Pringle. Haynes caught from behind with that cane. Count of three on this. I'll tell you what. That one, I'm sure, will be reviewed. That cane somehow got involved in the ring. And it was Haynes being caught from behind a couple of times with that cane. I think that turned the difference, obviously. It stunned Haynes. Rude, well, Haynes made one mistake. He never should have gone after Percy Pringle, although I can't say I blame him a bit in the world for doing it.
You know, a hard shot like that with a cane across your neck and spine area doesn't take much to momentarily just almost knock you out, almost paralyze you. Your neck and spine are so sensitive, the nerves are in such a confined area that it doesn't take much to literally paralyze you for 10 or 15 seconds. And that's definitely long enough to get pinned.
Well, there's a good bump. All right, I'll tell you what, let's take a look at this once again. Let's see if we can pick it up. Let's see where we can pick up this situation with a cane. All right. Well, you see, it's just doggone it. We missed it, that's for sure. But there's the cane. There, you're no question about it,
Nothing happened right there. How was that cane in the ring? How would it be knocked out of his hand if he wasn't trying to stick it into the ring?
All right, and there is, well, nonetheless, for the moment, let's see it again. There you got it.
There it is. Well, I'm sure with the footage like this, that the title, when the NWA sees this film, that there's going to be some question about that title.
No question about that. And a very desolate-looking Billy Haynes inside that ring. But there'll be another day and another chance at that Southern title.
I'm standing next to the man who has just electrified the entire wrestling world, and I mean the entire wrestling world, by defeating Jack Hart to become the youngest Florida heavyweight champion that we've ever had.
Thank you very much, Coach. I'd like to thank my father and both my brother. I've never been here without them. Thank you for answering all the questions I ever had to ask them. Thank the fans of Florida for all the support they've always had and always been there for us.
Well, it really is an unusual situation for a guy to, just in a few short months, to go from just being almost a complete novice to become the Florida heavyweight champion. And we certainly hope that you will be, well, there's the shot of it right there, and there's that flying cross, I call a cross body press, and you've hooked that far leg, and a loose half at the top there, that's all you needed. That pinning combination that you've been using so successfully for quite a while, it was great. Here's the slow motion of it. Look at that. That power, that 6'6" frame going over Jack Hart. Jack didn't know where he was. That strong hook in that outside leg, Kendall, and you've got yourself the Florida heavyweight belt.
Yes, sir, Coach. Thank you very much.
And, of course, you know, some of the primary reasons is the ability to put pinning combinations on. And that is all of our interview at the present time with the new Florida heavyweight champion.
Thank you so very much, Coach Heath. And again, congratulations, Kendall. And right now, let's let the stations make a little money. And for those of you who might have tuned in just a little bit late, you missed something because Kendall Windham has defeated Jack Hart for the Florida Heavyweight Championship. And that means a lot to young Kendall Windham. He is a rookie. This assures him, in my opinion, that he will become indeed the Rookie of the Year. And, Mike, I can't think of any reason why he shouldn't be made the Rookie of the Year. I would think that there's nobody else who can compare to that record-wise.
You know, I've watched Kendall since his first match. I trained with him some before he turned pro. He's got the size. He's got the ability. Of course, the wrestling background, Golden Gloves boxing champion. He's a good overall athlete. Main thing he's got going for him is his age. He's young, and it's a lot easier to come back from injuries at a young age. Once he starts filling out, and once he gets the aggressiveness that it takes to be a professional athlete of any type, he's going to come on strong. You got to figure that first month or two of the transition from amateur to pro, you don't have the aggressiveness, and to be able to defeat Jack Hart and win that Florida title at this time in his career is just unbelievable.
Certainly, no question about it. I'll tell you what, we've got later on this evening, of course, we've got I think the most awesome tag team combination in wrestling today. Talking about the Road Warriors. They're managed by Precious Paul Ellering. He's originally out of Melrose, Minnesota. And right now, I think we're ready for an interview. Let's go to our compatriot Buddy Colt in the locker room with the Road Warriors.
Tonight, the AWA World Tag Team Champions, along with their manager, Precious Paul Ellering, will be putting that title on the line against two men, 300-pound plus Stan Hansen and Harley Race, the man that for 4 years, along with his partner, held this prestigious World Tag Team Champion and was also 7 times World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. You know, Paul, this might be the team that could put an end to the long reign of the Road Warriors.
Well, you know, their record speaks for themselves. They've been champions. They've done this. They've done that. Well, in politics, your record speaks for yourself. Well, also in professional sports. So let's talk about our record. 2-time Tag Team of the Year, Manager of the Year. Now, Harley Race, I just happened to hear your interview. You're talking about Ric Flair. You're not thinking about this match 100%, like you should be. Like you should be, Harley Race. Tell him, Hawk. Well, guess what? It's about time to play, Harley Race. It ain't time to talk about Ric Flair. It ain't time to push your little boy around on a bike. It ain't time for nothing but for you and Stan Hansen to quit talking and get in the ring and do your talking there. That's where we do ours. That's why we wear these. Tell him, big man. Hey, Stan Hansen, you're a big man, over 300 pounds. Well, check it out, 300 pounds too, 275 pounds. Now, Race and Hansen, you're good wrestlers, but you ain't bad. You don't know what it's like to get your butt kicked by 10, 12, 15 guys in Chicago when you're a kid. So we get in, boom, we're right back up, right in your stinging face. Hey, you want to play the fate of the Warriors, you're going down.
Well, there's no doubt about it. The Road Warriors, two of the most powerful and devastating men that I have ever seen in professional wrestling. They will be having their hands full tonight against Harley Race and Stan Hansen.
The Hawk, the Animal, the Battle of the Belts. We'll be back with more action in a moment.
This is a World Tag Team title match, 1 fall, 1 hour time limit. Introducing first the challengers from Kansas City, Kansas, 260 pounds, Harley Race. And his partner from Knox County, Texas, weighing 300 pounds, Stan Hansen. Introducing now the World's Tag Team Champions approaching the ring, having a combined weight of 585 pounds, from Chicago, Illinois, accompanied by their manager Paul Ellering, the Road Warriors.
And we've got a battle going here before they even got to the ring. Stan the Man Hansen going absolutely berserk as he crashes out through the crowd and smashes. You've got the Hawk and the Animal out there. The Road Warriors. Ellering has been beaten to one side. And now they're up against that retaining wall. The Hawk and the Animal. And Stan Hansen, who is a bit more animalistic than either one of them at the moment. But Hansen now taking his lumps at the hands of the Animal. Now the Hawk pounding away at Harley Race. Race 7 times World Heavyweight Champion. And it is battle and bedlam going on right now. Hansen just caught that ring post as he swung and missed, and it was driving knees into the midsection now. Somehow or another, we're going to have to get these men, the Road Warriors, now into the ring. And that cowbell brought by Stan Hansen, suddenly Harley Race beginning to use that very, very effectively. And Hansen has gone completely berserk. Apparently those comments by the Road Warriors clearly infuriated him. And now it's the Road Warriors retaliating on this combination of Stan Hansen and Harley Race.
A lot of times when you get big, aggressive men like this, they They talk on interviews. They yell at each other. A lot of times it takes a lot of effect. And right now you can see that Stan Hansen is no rookie. Harley Race is no rookie. The Road Warriors are relatively new in professional wrestling. They're both tremendously strong. They've definitely got Hansen and Harley Race fired up. And when you get a man like Stan Hansen, 330 pounds, Wild West Texas street fighter going, you better be ready. And of course, Harley Race, 7-time world heavyweight champion. He's no one to take lightly either.
Now, I've said it about him before, and I'll say it again. Race and fight a buzzsaw and give it the first 2 rounds. And he has just caught it from the Hawk, however. The Hawk drives into the head of Harley Race. Race powers out. Race, who has wrestled over half of his entire lifetime. And they're using a headbutt very, very effectively. That stunned the Hawk, and he tags up with the animal.
Looks like they've tried their psych out. They've tried their, blowing each other's strategy. They're going to have to settle down now and do exactly what the marquee says front. You're going to have to get down and wrestle. You're not going to overpower Harley Race or Stan Hansen. You're not going to psych him out. You're going to have to beat him wrestling.
Hansen in there, reverse on that Irish whip, and the Hawk caught him. The animal, meanwhile, pounding away, and once again they're outside the ring. Stan Hansen and the Hawk outside the ring as the animal and Harley Race battle on. And this one's gone right out to the crowd. Chairs and everything else being used. The Hawk down across the head of Stan Hansen. And the big man from Borger, Texas, retaliates on the Hawk. Again, fires to the... And here's the animal has Harley Race up a full body slam.
Right now that fighting is going on outside the ring, but the legal men in the ring are Harley Race and the animal. You can fight on the outside if you want to wear yourself down. The only problem is if Harley gets in trouble in there and goes for the tag, Stan Hansen is not going to be there. You can beat a man on the floor 5 times and you're not going to win the match. You've got to concentrate on the ring. You've got to pay attention to your partner and be there when he needs help.
Point well taken, and right now it is the Hawk moving in after having tagged up with the animal. All right, overhooked on the head of Harley Race. Race trying to get that double leg dive now. Good double leg pickup down across the chest. And the tag is made with Stan the Man Hansen. Hansen drives the knee.
I don't want to give my age away, but I had been wrestling a few years when Stan Hansen started. When Stan Hansen came to Florida, right out of West Texas, wild and crazy and full of life and energy, just like Kendall Windham is now. Stan only weighed about 225 pounds and was the same height. Well, he's 325 now, and he's held all kinds of national titles. One of the top names in professional wrestling today. So, looking at Kendall and looking at this man, Stan Hansen didn't win a title for probably the first 3 or 4 years he was wrestling. Kendall has done it in the first 2 months. The strength of Hawk to pick 320-pound Hansen up and body slamming is just amazing. When you see men of this size, all 4 of them so large, you almost forget how big they really are. They look like they're 220, 230 pounds, well-developed, but everyone in the ring is over 275 pounds.
No question about that, and now it's the animal overhooking on the head of Stan Hansen back into the turnbuckles now. And the referee calling for the break. Now, when Stan Hansen does break and steps up, if you get a chance, just look at the difference in size between him and, as an example, the referee Bill Alfon. Hansen charged. And he is... may have messed up that arm. He has had problems with that left arm in the past, and he may be having problems with it again.
A lot of times, a good example is possibly like a boxing match. If you watch the lightweights and everything, they're throwing 400 punches. They're really sparring and moving. When you get into the heavyweights, they don't throw as many punches, but the ones they do are so devastating that it's unbelievable. Well, the same with these men. You don't see a lot of flying head scissors and drop kicks and takedowns, because when they're in there, the strength that they've got and the size and the weight, it doesn't take as many punches and it doesn't take as much to hurt a man just as seriously as it does someone that's smaller.
That's very, very true. And it is Hansen now carrying the animal, and it was the animal slipping away from it. Hansen catching that steel ring post right in the shoulder, and he may be having some problems here. Now the Hawk is back in. Harley Race and the animal outside the ring, and it's the Hawk. Stan Hansen brought him up.
You see that? He gave him a back suplex. The man never laid there a second. He's so muscled up, so thick, that he just drew his head forward, hit on his shoulders, extending somebody, rolled right back to his hands and knees, and was just waiting.
Tag is made once again. Harley Race, 7 times world heavyweight champion, moves in, catches the Hawk, and now moves in on the Hawk once again. Brother, you talk about muscular conformation and definition.
Well, you can see that Harley's been hurt. Harley's been hurt. You can see the way he's walking. He's trying to protect his leg. That battling on the floor, something going on in the ring. He has been hurt, but I'll tell you, I broke Harley Race's leg, and he didn't quit. Right there, grabbing Harley Race by the throat with Harley's 270 and picking him up like he weighed 140 pounds. This Hawk is just super strong. Of course, both Road Warriors bench press over 500, military press over 300, and they're just tremendous athletes.
Right now, rear chin lock now on Harley Race. And the Hawk continues to press every advantage possible. Battle of the Giants here, no question about that. Excellent suplex, belly to back, and it was the tag is made once again. Stan the Man Hansen, known as the bad man from Borger, Texas. And West Texas does seem to produce an abundance of great wrestlers.
Again, a pile driver, which would normally just practically knock a man cold, dropping him right on top of his head with 320 pounds driving down. And again, that wrestling background always rolls to his stomach, always rolls to his hands and knees.
And it is Harley Race back out there. Race trying to set him up. Does so. Good high vertical suplex.
Again, you can see the man starting to roll to his hands and knees. Obvious, a lot of amateur training when it's embedded in you like that. You never lay on your back. You don't sleep on your back. You never lay on your back doing anything. Every time this man's been dropped on his head, no matter what's been done to him, as soon as he hits the mat, he's rolling for his stomach, because you can't get pinned laying on your stomach.
And the Road Warrior now presses him above his head. And Race came down, and you're right. He has hurt his leg earlier, and it's becoming increasingly obvious he's having a problem maintaining stability on that injured leg.
Right there, the big man, the animal, going for a press slam. He's 275 pounds. He's been around a long time. When he was going up, he felt what he was doing, got his weight shifted backwards, got the man off balance, and he was unable to give him that slam. He did have him over his head, 275 pounds extended at length, but Harley was able to block it, drop behind him, and avoid coming down on his back.
All right, the Hawk in there now. Ellering, I must say this about Ellering. There's a great difference in the way Ellering manages his men as opposed to Percy Pringle. Ellering much calmer, just as much intensity, I believe, but it's almost by thought process rather than by vocalizing. Ellering paces back and forth, but he is a stern disciplinarian. Now, don't go to Fifth City with Harley Race, or you're in a lot of trouble. There's no question about that. A little body slam on the man. Race rolls to one side. The Hawk came down on that elbow. Whoa, man. Both of them over that top rope. And the referee hurdled to one side. And we've got a Pier Sixer going on outside the ring. A Pier Sixer outside the ring. And the referee tolling the count. That's it. Both teams counted out. Both teams counted out. And we'll be back. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tonight, Ric Flair, 3 times National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Champion, will be putting that title on the line against Wahoo McDaniel. But tonight, rules will be slightly different. This will be a 2 out of 3 fall match with a 1-hour time limit. Wahoo McDaniel says there's not a man in the world that can defeat him 2 falls in one night.
First of all, let's get one thing straight. Forget about being 3 times. I'm the current World Heavyweight Champion, the only World Heavyweight Champion, and that's all that matters right now. Tonight, right here in Tampa, Wahoo McDaniels, you got the match you wanted, 2 out of 3 falls. And if you tell the whole wrestling world that there isn't a man alive that can beat you 2 falls, I'm just going to have to prove you wrong. I'm the greatest conditioned athlete alive today. I'm Ric Flair, the world champion, a living legend, and right here in Tampa, Florida, woo, Wahoo, I'm going to take it to you, brother, all night long.
Well, that all remains to be seen very shortly.
All right. There you have it, the comments from Ric Flair, and the Road Warriors still in the ring. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
This is an AWA heavyweight title match, 1 fall with a 60-minute time limit. Introducing the challenger from Tampa, Florida, 235 pounds, the very popular Frankie Lane. The AWA heavyweight wrestling champion from Los Angeles, California, 247 pounds, Nick Bockwinkel.
Well, some understandable confusion here, and I'm sure that Bockwinkel really wished that were the case. Bockwinkel was for a long period of time the AWA heavyweight champion. He came here tonight to wrestle Rick Martel for that AWA title. Martel, due to the confusion of the airlines right now and the Hurricane Elena, was unable to defend that title here tonight. Frank Lane has stepped in, and Bockwinkel, I'll tell you what, has to be met with all sorts of mixed emotions, Mike.
You know, you're right. He come down here to after that title, and of course, understandably, I know that plane connections and everything with the hurricane the way it is, it's very difficult to get in or out of Florida. He's got to be very angry to travel all this distance and find out that his opponent is not here. But on the other hand, Frank Lane, who is a relative newcomer in professional wrestling ranks, has an opportunity to defeat a man that has been the world's heavyweight champion before.
Certainly no question about that. A great opportunity for Frank Lane. And I think we should make it absolutely clear, too, that there was no question about the fact that Martel could not make it. Martel is not a duck and hide champion. He is a fighting champion, and I know that he was looking forward to this match. He was extremely distressed that he could not be here. But some understandable confusion, but then I would say the last 72 hours here in the Great Sun Coast has been pretty confusing.
Well, you're exactly right. We're lucky to be here and having this show at all with the evacuation of practically all Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and the outlying areas. It's just a miracle that this show is taking place. A lot of determination from our television stations all around the country, a lot of determination from the wrestlers to get here, and it is turning into one of the greatest nights I have seen in my 13 years of pro wrestling.
It certainly has been a great night, and I want to issue a special word to all of our crew here, to every single one of them for doing an outstanding job, and they were working under extremely difficult circumstances because the University of South Florida was one of the evacuations. A beautiful move by Lane, cross body block, and
Bockwinkel better not let his frustration of his correct opponent not being here get to him and get defeated in this match. He does have ability over Frank Lane, experience, but a lot of times you can get aggravated, frustrated, and you don't think right. And young athletes of today are All they needed that chance, just like Kendall Windham earlier, that one chance, and had him hooked. It was almost questionable. Hart was kicking out on the 3 count, but was still under control and lost that title. So Frank Lane is not to be taken lightly, and Bockwinkel better not be too aggravated and think about this match.
Well, he has suddenly put his mind back to it just now, and Frank Lane's going to pick himself up a lesson in a hurry, and Bockwinkel wastes no time in punishing Lane. Great opportunity for Frank Lane, but as Mike so aptly pointed out, Bockwinkel's got to be very careful, because if he were to be defeated by Lane, that would drop him, I would think, in the ratings once again.
You're exactly right. To take a loss like that, it would drop him immensely. It wouldn't do that much for Frank because, other than his mental attitude and the confidence he would gain in himself, he's too young to have any long-term ratings yet, but it would definitely knock Bockwinkel down a step. In this particular case, you might say Frank's got everything to gain and almost nothing to lose.
And he's acquitting himself extremely well. Again, Bockwinkel caught him coming in. A bit of that youthful inexperience showing there as Lane ducks away from that one, however. And that time, Bockwinkel, right in the abdominal wall, got the 3 count. Got the 3 count. And so Bockwinkel, well, I guess that will relieve some of his frustration. All right, right now, let's go to the locker room where we'll hear from the challenger, Wahoo McDaniels, who's interviewed by Coach John Heath.
This is it. 2 out of 3 falls tonight. We hear the #1 contender of the National Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Championship. For tonight, it's Ric Flair, and your thoughts on it.
Well, you know, John, I got a 2 out of 3 fall match. I can't scream. It's my type of setup. I had to do a lot of screaming and hollering. I believe the fans need to know who the best man is. I think the best way to find out is 2 out of 3 falls. And like I said today, I don't think there's a man in the world today that can beat me 2 falls in one night. I know Ric Flair's ready. I know he's a great champion, but I think it's time for a change, and I can't think of a better place for a change than right here in Florida.
We're going to find out in just a few minutes.
We're going to find out right after we pause for these important messages.
This is the National World Alliance Heavyweight Wrestling match. 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit. The referee for this title match, Bill Alfonso. Introducing the challenger from Oklahoma, weighing 260 pounds, a former Miami Dolphins professional football player, Chief Wahoo McDaniel. Weighing 245 pounds from Minneapolis, Minnesota, the world's heavyweight wrestling champion, Ric Flair. 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit.
All right, there you have it, the 10 pounds of gold on the line. It's for all the marbles. You see that gold around the waist of the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Ric Flair. Flair now removing that $5,000 robe and very carefully taking it over to ringside. He is cautious about who handles his garments. He is a jet setter, no question about it. Mike, I know that you had talked to Wahoo earlier in the day. Wahoo has all of the pressure in the world on him right now to get a 2 out of 3 falls match through special dispensation of the NWA is a rather rare occurrence.
You're exactly right. I know the excitement that's going through Wahoo right now. I know how Ric Flair's thinking. He's cool. He's confident. He's been down this road 1,000 times, and right now he's looking at 1 hour. He is the champion. Wahoo's going to have to go after him.
You think then that Flair might take that approach? You think he might get on his bicycle?
I think definitely that would be the best thing for him to do. He is the champion. Wahoo is heavier. I think Flair is probably in a little bit better shape, and Wahoo does have to defeat him. Flair does not have to beat Wahoo McDaniel. If they wrestle to an hour draw, Ric Flair still leads the world's heavyweight champion.
Precisely. All right, Flair tantalizing his man, taunting him just a little bit. And so it appears that this is going to be the strategy. Flair is going to figure that time can be on his side. They finally lock up collar and elbow. he pulls him back into the turnbuckle, and a good clean break. So Flair didn't want to keep too much contact going.
Well, you know, Flair wrestles the top competitors all over the world every week, and he's in unbelievable shape. That can wear you down. It can take its toll. On the other hand, you are in the ring so much that you make moves without thinking about them. You do things almost subconsciously, and that's one advantage that he might have.
Top wrist lock now by Flair and McDaniel, and it's Flair getting the advantage. Wide stance, Flair down on one knee. McDaniel down on one knee, I'm sorry. And it's Flair again, wide stance, and Wahoo McDaniel beginning to take the edge here. Tremendous test of strength and will and balance. And it is McDaniel taking the measure.
Well, of course, Ric Flair having that explosion strength, having those quick reactions. Wahoo is a different style wrestler. He's determined. He's constantly on you. He never gives you a chance to rest. He's just an incredible athlete.
Flair, an earlier old laceration apparently has opened up, and it is Wahoo McDaniel bringing him back up against the turnbuckle. McDaniel keeping him in close, and Alfonso trying to keep them separated. Tremendous responsibility lies with the official in this match, too. 2 out of 3 falls, and Flair trying to intimidate the referee. Alfonso may give away some size, but he's not going to be intimidated.
You know, you're right. And I tell you, like you say, officiating in every sport is questioned. Calls in football and basketball, and if a man was safe or out playing baseball, the officials in every sport has their job cut out for them, and it's one that I wouldn't want to have.
Amen to that. Chop, and it's a return chop by Wahoo McDaniel. Pardon me, and McDaniel exploding on Ric Flair. Flair backing away. Now, if McDaniel can get Flair mad, there's a possibility Flair will make a mistake.
Well, you know that you're all right in your thinking, but Flair has so much ability, so many matches and time in the ring. That's almost impossible to do. Wahoo right now is just beating on him. Simply, plain and simple, beating on him. That's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to hurt Ric Flair to the point of Flair not knowing where he is. Of course, taking that way out, like I said, Flair is a cool operator in the ring. He knows when to go to the floor. He knows when he needs to take a rest. He's not going to do anything foolish and take a chance on losing that title.
Flair going outside on the floor now. He'll break the momentum that Wahoo McDaniel had going for him, and really, in a sense, that's an old football tactic.
Sure, call a timeout if you need to. When Wahoo had him on a roll, he had him going, he was hurting him with those chops. Flair knows that now going out on the floor, giving himself a breather, cools Wahoo down. He loses that momentum, and he's got to regain it again.
Flair taking his time, steps back into the ring. Remember, he is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He's held it on 3 different times, which also means he's been defeated twice.
Well, that's exactly right. The old cowboys say there's not a horse that's never been rode, and there ain't a rider that's never been throwed. Well, in professional wrestling, in any professional sport, I don't know of any person or any team that has gone its career and been undefeated.
The chopping, and it's Flair using Wahoo's very best tactic against him. And you got a war of chops going on now. And Flair stepped into Wahoo's backyard, and Wahoo caught him again. So it looks like Wahoo McDaniel's got that momentum going again. And Flair, again, using time as his ally.
Wahoo McDaniel's hands probably feel like 10 or 12-pound steel plates hitting Flair in the chest.
Flair retaliating, though, caught him with a knee lift into the rib section. And now Flair desperately trying to draw in some air. And Wahoo McDaniel back to his feet, caught with a chop and driven to the canvas. Flair, that's the flat of the foot. well within the legal parameters of the sport. Uses the flat of the foot. McDaniel coming up very slowly. Front chancery now by Flair. Interesting thing about Flair, too. Here is a man who was literally born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Could have taken, I suppose, a lot of easier ways to become a professional in almost any area that he wanted to. But he chose, in my opinion, the toughest sport of all, and that's pro wrestling.
You know, I feel that you made a good analysis right there from a very wealthy family. But, you know, when you've got that aggressiveness, when there's more in life than just earning a paycheck, then if you can do it, if you can be a pro wrestler, it feels so good to walk out of that ring with your hand in the air and know that you've won on your own. And when you get beat, there's nothing more disheartening to know that there was nobody you can blame it on, nobody dropped the ball, nobody missed the block, you got beat on your own. And the whole building full of people standing there watching you, it can sure take you down a notch.
Flair just, and I'll tell you what, he let Alfonso know in a hurry, and Alfonso let him know in a hurry. And Alfonso letting him know the title's on the line, and he's not going to put up with any shenanigans from Flair. Oh, I'll tell you what, he's got a lot of intestinal fortitude, Bill Alfonso.
Well, he's got a lot of intestinal fortitude, but on the other hand, Ric Flair would have to be a fool to take a chance on losing one of the falls by intentionally hitting the referee, and that's exactly what would happen. All it would take is one intentional punch to the referee. He would lose one of the falls, which would mean Wahoo would already have won one and hadn't really defeated him yet.
Excellent point and well taken, and it is Wahoo McDaniel with that momentum going once again and again. Flair outside the ring and over that barrier rail. Flair has been stung and stung badly, but there he is, a champion charging the ring once again.
You know, Gene Kiniski, former world heavyweight champion, was noted for stepping out of the ring like that. I watched him wrestle my father 2 or 3 times, and whenever I thought Dad had him and was going to beat him, Kiniski'd slide out on the floor. Not only breaks your timing in the ring and your mental thought, but it's just aggravating, and that's exactly what Flair's doing. He's taking advantage of that floor time. He knows that he's got 1 hour. If he can stay out there 1 hour and not get defeated, he's going to leave this building the world's heavyweight champion.
And Flair, although we don't see any evidence, any swelling, but he keeps going back to his nose, and it's possible that one of those chops has broken that nose or else bruised it so badly that he may think it's broken.
You know, that's right. Whenever you're in the ring, your mental attitude and your physical conditioning, and you want to break one of those down. The man in the better shape is usually 9 times out of 10 going to win, because when you're tired and exhausted, you can't think, and when you can't think, you're definitely in trouble.
Beautiful drop toe hold by Wahoo McDaniel as Flair tried to come across with a shoulder block, and McDaniel now cinches down on that leg, and so Flair's got a problem. McDaniel driving the knee into those femoris muscles, and I'm going to be curious to see just how well Flair is going to function on that leg if and when he gets away from this hold.
You know, pain is nothing new to either one of these men. You can see it in their faces. They're 2 war horses. They're used to being hurt. They knew when they were in the locker rooms getting ready to go in the ring, this was going to be no stroll through the park. They've had some of the toughest, hardest matches that I've ever seen, and they both knew what they were in for. And right now, it's a matter of who is in the best condition and who has the most determination to win. Right now, Wahoo McDaniel's doing exactly what he should. He's trying to weaken Ric Flair, working on his leg, trying to get the man injured, because if Flair can dance and move and stay away from him, he's not going to be able to beat him in that hour. He's going to have to slow Flair down. He's going to have to injure him, and that's exactly what he's doing now.
Flair making it into those ring ropes, and that'll force the break, and that's exactly what it's done. However, McDaniel did not totally separate from him, bring Flair back into the ring, And Flair having a real problem with that left leg. Flair scooting away from him now. Wahoo right back after that leg. And the referee checking those shoulders right down on top of him. I'll tell you what, our two cameramen at ringside are taking their lives into their hands. During that Hanson Warrior battle, a couple of them almost got knocked down. But they are giving us tremendous ringside coverage, no question about it.
They sure are. They're in there on all the close shots they can get. And like you say, you never know what these men are going to do. You can have 250 pounds flying out over that top rope coming down at you in a matter of a heartbeat. So they're really doing an excellent job in this filming. And this is footage that's going to go down in wrestling history. Wahoo taking a hard chop to the throat and chest. You can see the pain coming over his face right now, almost like he's stunned and doesn't know where he is.
Snap there now by Flair has Wahoo McDaniel back to the canvas again. And Flair having troubles with that leg, no question about it. We saw him hopping back into that corner. Came down, Wahoo McDaniel playing a bit of possum there, if you will. And rolled right out of the way and went right back after him. A toe hold now on that left leg. That twists the knee once again. Twists the ankle, puts more pressure on those femoris muscles. McDaniel very definitely pressing this situation. Remember this match, 2 out of 3 falls. Flair finally breaks it up. Now let's watch Flair. He's got some problems. Definitely has problems with that leg. And now really kicking in desperation, chops. And it's Wahoo McDaniel chopping back. Flair's in Wahoo's backyard when it... Good, double leg dive, back to the basics.
Got his foot up on the rope there, though. He's using that rope for extra, not enough, though. Even with using his foot on the rope, not enough leverage to hold Wahoo's shoulders down.
Wahoo McDaniel, for the last 10 years, has really become a legend. Very rarely does a man have the opportunity to achieve 2 spectacular professional careers, and Wahoo McDaniel has done exactly that. And it has taken a tremendous amount of self-sacrifice, drive, and ambition. And the champion is dropped again by McDaniel. The champion caught one, right into the side of the rib cage. And one in really the only place in the body where there is no muscle, under the armpit. Wahoo McDaniel fires back against him.
This match has taken an early toll on both of these men. Just constant beating and pounding. The human body is just made to take so much. And these men have gone at it a hard pace. Wahoo knows that he's got to beat Ric Flair, and that's what he's doing. He is going after him.
And it is Ric Flair smashing McDaniel's shoulder into that steel ring post. And I can't help but feel that maybe Flair can feel something that we can't, Mike, and that's that maybe he feels that Wahoo is getting stronger and stronger, and he had to do something a bit desperate.
Well, he's going to have to do something real desperate, because if he goes out and just tries to wrestle a normal wrestling match, he won't beat Wahoo McDaniel. Wahoo is too tough. He doesn't feel pain the way normal people do, and Flair is going to have to get mean, and he's going to have to hurt him to beat him.
All right, McDaniel now caught with a full-arm dragon twist by Ric Flair, and it's on that shoulder that just took that severe percussion into the steel ring post. And it is Flair utilizing now and taking every advantage possible. Talking to Joe Pedicino earlier, and Joe is talking about his folks, the winners from Atlanta, who are here at ringside tonight watching. Steve and Judy Sherry and Ralph O'Connor and Ryan O'Connor seem to be pretty well evenly divided as to who they thought would take this match. And Flair unhappy about the camera in his face.
The man with that camera better beware. Flair's not one to play with like that. It's like sticking your hand over the cage of a lion and saying, "Come on, smack me."
Yeah, you're exactly right. You know, we told you the burner was hot. Don't put your hand on it.
That's right. Right now, Ric Flair in complete control, using his weight, keeping Wahoo pinned to the mat, putting a lot of pressure on that shoulder of which he has injured. It's hard to fight, or it's hard to wrestle, it's hard to do anything when you've got one arm very, very severely injured. Ric Flair knows that. Ric Flair has wrestled injured before. Like I said earlier, this is no new game to Ric Flair. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's got his strategy planned. He knows that he's got to stay in there, that he's got to keep Wahoo McDaniels under control. If a pinfall or submission comes along for him, that's fine. But it's got to come for Wahoo McDaniels because he has to defeat Ric Flair.
Referee told him to count on Flair to break that hold. And Flair is using anything that he can do now to continue to punish that left arm. And as you had pointed out earlier on, you concentrate on one part of the body. If you can get that injured or to a point where it's disabled, like the forelegs on the table.
That's right. You know, and I know from experience, most of the men I wrestle, of course, are larger than me. But I find that if I can get on just like a 35, 40-pound pit bulldog, will get on a 200-300-pound animal and just hang on and hang on and hang on, and he will get that animal down and actually defeat him. It's the same thing in the ring. You've got to get on something and hang on to it and just be determined and have that ability and have that aggressiveness that you know you're going to hurt someone, and either you make them quit or you hurt them.
Well, that's exactly what Flair has in mind here now as he keeps that arm imprisoned, floats over the body. And Wahoo McDaniel in a definite predicament here, able to get those shoulders off, but just barely in time.
Right now, Flair's got him tied up really well. It's extremely hard for Wahoo to breathe in a position like this. He's got him half Nelson with a chicken wing on one side, putting all his weight down on top of him, keeping that arm drawn under him. And Wahoo right now is in some serious trouble. He better come out of that. Best thing he could do is try right there. Right there. He could have single-legged Ric Flair, taken him down, gone back to the leg that he was working on earlier, and at least got a breather. At least let that shoulder rest a little bit.
But unfortunately, that is not the case. And once again, it is Ric Flair, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, applying even more pressure to that shoulder.
Well, it's easy for me to sit out here and say he should have done this and should have done that. When you're in that ring and it feels like you're about to have your arm pulled off your shoulder, you're not thinking all the time the way you should. So I'm sitting out here nice and fresh in a nice air-conditioned gym looking at this and saying, oh, yeah, he should do this and he should do that. Well, I really shouldn't take that that liberty because it's not that easy.
Well, by the same token, Mike, you have been there, and so you do know what things have to be done, and some things have to become almost instinctive. But right now, it's Ric Flair just issuing an awful lot of punishment to a prone Wahoo McDaniel. And McDaniel, as they say, in a world of hurt right now. Well, you can hear some of the fans, and of course, Ric Flair, he's got his foot over the rope. Like his entire leg over the rope. That should force the break. And it is McDaniel coming up very, very slowly. Again over that ring rope, and again taking every advantage possible. And Flair now with some forearms into the chest of Wahoo McDaniel. Wahoo McDaniel now taking whatever advantage he feels necessary, and a headbutt that drives Flair down to the canvas.
Of course, that headbutt took a toll on Wahoo, too. But in a case like that, when you've got nothing else to lose, you do whatever you think you can to take that advantage.
Flair caught him coming in. And again, Flair goes back to that injured shoulder. And it is Wahoo McDaniel, open chop. Tomahawk chop into the head now that has Flair back into those ropes. Caught him with a chop. And Flair's eyes crossed. Flair's eyes went blank.
Almost for that 3 count, but not quite enough. He's beat on Flair, pounded on him. He's got all his weight on him. He's got his wrist lock right there, but Flair's still managing to get that shoulder up.
Flair. Check it out. Apparently had his foot on the rope, and so the referee called for the break. Wahoo broke and gave him a little present as he broke.
Right now, Wahoo's slow, determined, throwing those hard chops, taking a little bit of energy, a little bit of life out of him with each one.
Wahoo McDaniel came from the backyard that time, and Flair retaliates. Well, I don't ever think that Flair can't take it, because he can, and he can dish it right back out again.
Going for the sleeper. Going for the sleeper. This could be the first fall right here.
It could be indeed. Wahoo McDaniel with a sleeper hold on Ric Flair, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion.
Flair's got his head, he's got his head turned just enough. Wahoo doesn't have both sides of the neck. It'll take twice as long to put a man out like this. If Flair can just move his neck, Wahoo's trying to get back into position again. He's trying to get that head back. Flair just keeping that shoulder up enough. Wahoo's arms are a little too big to get in on the neck. Flair blocking it as well as he can. You can see it starting to take effect, though. He's starting to lose that strength. And he knows it. That's why he's going for the ropes. He knows that he's going out.
Desperation set in, but it was too late. It was too late. And Wahoo McDaniel has Flair in a sleeper and down, and Flair has been pinned.
He's got the first fall. He's got that first fall. That's so important in a match like this. Now, Ric Flair has got to come back, because if the match ends and Wahoo has won a fall and the time limit has expired, he'll be the champion.
All right, I'll tell you what. We've got a timeout here for the World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair, who's unconscious at the moment. We'll be back after these words. All right, well, it looks to me time is returned now, and Mike, it looks to me like Flair, and he's been hurt, is going to have to change his strategy. He's got to go after Wahoo now.
That's right. The whole strategy of this match changes. Ric Flair has now fallen down. He's got to come back. He's got to go after Wahoo McDaniels. He can't lay back and be defensive anymore. He's got to be the aggressor.
All right, waiting now for that bell to ring to start this second fall. And Flair, still staggering, still dazed.
You can see the new confidence in Wahoo McDaniel's face. Through the rest period between falls, Flair was obviously hurt, obviously trying to regain. Wahoo was standing in the corner like the Statue of Liberty with all the confidence in the world. The match has been in progress now 30 minutes. Wahoo's not breathing hard yet. He's in good shape, and he's ready for this match.
Flair watching him with a newfound intensity now as he realizes he's got to play catch-up. He's behind. So the champion trails one fall, misses, and catches Wahoo with a chop that time, catches him with another one, forearm into the chest, another chop into the throat. And Ric Flair, grimly determined, misses that time. Wahoo retaliates, catches him.
Going for that pinfall, not able to get it. But I'll tell you, I've seen matches won like that when the sleeper is used to the point of semi-unconsciousness. It takes a while to get your thoughts back again. A hard blow like that, a stunning shock, and it could have been the 1-2-3 for the second fall that Wahoo needs to win this match.
Side headlock now by the challenger, Wahoo McDaniel. As Flair has to change his strategy, Wahoo really has to change his as well, because he does have a fall up on the champion. Now he's going to have to be doubly careful to make sure that he doesn't make any mistakes.
You know, that's exactly right. You can get on a high, you can be on top of the world and make a silly mistake and get that pinfall against you, and then you're right back to square one.
Wahoo McDaniel keeping the side headlock on the world champion Ric Flair. Flair, of course, in the red trunks, Wahoo McDaniel in the black. Referee Bill Alfonso watching him carefully now. Alfonso, an extremely active referee. Flair hanging on, and Flair may be trying to figure his strategy here. All right, gets him back into the turnbuckle. That will force the break.
Flair, of course, using those ring ropes, turnbuckles, and everything to his advantage. He knows that he was caught in a good hold. He is in some trouble. Figuring the only way he can to break it is to push Wahoo back into the ropes. Right now, Wahoo just pounding on him. Deliberate, slow, just pounding the life out of him.
Snap Nair into a rear chin lock. And tried to slide into that sleeper hold again. Flair quickly and desperately moved to those ring ropes. Wow. Flair chopped right over those ropes. And an admonishment here by the referee.
Boy, that's dangerous when you get knocked over like that backwards. That railing around the ring, you're falling, 9-10 feet upside down. Your leg hits that steel railing on the outside, it's broken immediately.
Flair now pulling Wahoo McDaniel partially outside the ring, and then punishing that left leg on the ring apron itself. By the way, that's angle iron underneath the ring mat itself, and now it is Flair punishing that leg against the steel ring post.
Flair using everything he can to try to take the advantage, using the ring post, the ring ropes, the ring apron. He knows the determination that Wahoo McDaniel has. He knows he's not in there wrestling just a normal person.
And it's Wahoo McDaniel. That left leg bothering him considerably now as he tries to regain his feet, and Flair closing in very quickly, goes after that left leg again.
Flair can sense that he's got Wahoo's leg hurt, and you can bet he's not going to relax on it either. He's going to stay on that leg. He's going to keep that pressure on him because he knows all Wahoo has to do is get one more fall, and he is no longer the world's heavyweight champion.
Again, Flair going to the ring ropes, and Wahoo McDaniel helpless to do much about it. Flair drops the full weight of his body down across the upper thigh of Wahoo McDaniel. Then disdainfully just kicks the leg to one side, and it's Flair in behind his man, charges him, right of the foot, and a chop into the throat. And so it is Flair again. Brash and almost cocky in his attitude, but I would think it is stemming from a bit of desperation.
Well, desperation and the aggressiveness to win. That's what it's all about. In every job, in every sport, in every field, you want to be the best. If you're not excelling to be the best, if you're not excelling to step up that ladder, then you just don't have it. And right now, Ric Flair knows that Wahoo McDaniel is fully capable of beating him. One more fall, if he loses another fall, he's lost that heavyweight title. And again, money is very important, but pride. Professional wrestling and any professional athlete that is dedicated and trained, they know what pride is. They know what self-sacrifice is, to diet, to exercise. And right here in the World's Heavyweight title match, you're seeing two fine examples of that.
Toehold now by the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair. Keeps punishing Wahoo McDaniel. And so Flair's new approach, new strategy, at the moment appears to be successful. He's got McDaniel in trouble. And the crowd now trying to bring added encouragement to the challenger, Wahoo McDaniel. You can hear them now, the rumble starting, as they would like to see Wahoo McDaniel regain. Open slaps across the face of Wahoo McDaniel. And as fiercely prideful as he is, he's going into that spinning toe hold and then into that figure
Trying
four.
to get that leg down for the figure four. He's got it. He's got the figure four on Wahoo McDaniels. I've won many, many matches with a figure four. Wahoo could very well get his leg broken because I know he won't give up. I know he won't give up. Right now, as big as Wahoo's legs are, he didn't quite get that one leg crossed at a 90-degree angle. He can't get the pressure on the leg the way he should be able to. That's very painful, but the short joint that he's got stuck in off there, it's going to be difficult to actually break the man's leg. He can put a lot of pressure on him. He can hurt the ankle, but if Wahoo can get in there, get into the rope, at this time, going to the ropes is not, it's not anything illegal. It's saving that leg, saving the match. Wahoo McDaniels either needs to get to his stomach, which reverses the pressure by putting Flair's knees down to the mat and putting a lot of pressure on his legs. He's either got to reverse it or get in the ropes, because if he stays in this predicament much longer, he won't be able to walk.
And it is Wahoo McDaniel trying to get over to his stomach, and if he can, it may reverse the pressures here. That figure 4 not quite properly applied. Wahoo is over, and Flair is over, and it is Flair now who feels that intense pain coursing through his body, and it's Flair who gives up the hold.
Right there, of course, my father, the figure 4 leg lock was his forte. He taught a lot of wrestlers that hold, taught it to me. I've won a lot of matches with it, and you can tell when you put it on, you can tell when you get the man's legs in there just how good you've got it. And you can break a man's leg very easily with it, or just like that, you can hurt him terribly, but you won't make him quit.
Snap there.
I'm trying to push the leg down to get that leverage. If you don't get that man's foot almost over his knee, you can't get the pressure you need. Right now, he's going into it again, just continuing to try to hurt him. But if you don't get that leg down, you're not going to get the leverage it takes to win. Well, of course, blocking that other foot, which right now it's a standoff. Neither man is in any trouble. As long as Wahoo can keep that foot out there he's getting it out now. Flair realizing that he's not going to be able to get it done from that position. Wahoo holding on. Of course, Flair having more energy right now. Wahoo has been punished. Flair coming up on top, using those hands to try to tire him out.
Flair pounding away, and McDaniel on the canvas shaking that head, trying to get those cobwebs free. And it is Flair right back into a snapmare. Takes McDaniel off his feet again. And Flair hobbling a bit down into the head of Wahoo McDaniel. That kind of a percussion may be a little bit more than the challenger can take.
Wahoo's head has been split open with severe punches and knees to the forehead. A human being's head just wasn't made to take that kind of pounding.
And that Flair still that unsure on that leg, and had to fall back and regroup. Wahoo
getting that shoulder up, but you better get up off there. Better get that hand out. Getting that shoulder just off the mat. Of course, that's all it takes is just an inch, quarter of an inch, just daylight between the shoulder and the mat, and that stops the count.
And it is Flair down across the head once again of Wahoo McDaniel. Got the shoulder up. Got the shoulder up. 1, 2, and again.
Bringing that head up, bringing that head and shoulder up. A lot of times, Gordon, you get so tired and you're so hurt that you just can't move. But he's moving enough to break that count, and that's all that counts right now.
Suplex by Wahoo McDaniel, hooking that far leg.
Ric Flair always hooking the leg, in control of the arm, his weight on his chest, hooking that leg to keep him from bridging up. Wahoo being able to get that shoulder blade up off the mat and save the count. Going in for the stretch. Wahoo's a big man, though. He's big and strong, but Rick is successful in getting it on him, working on that breathing, trying to wear him out. He knows that the time is counting down. He knows the time is counting down. He knows he's going to have to wear him out, and that's exactly what he's trying to do right now.
Wahoo McDaniel withstanding a lot of pain and a lot of pressure as those muscles are being pulled in the wrong direction. Wahoo McDaniel trapped in that hold, and now you can hear this crowd coming alive as they are solidly in the corner of one Wahoo McDaniel. They'd like to see him break free from this end. Now do what could be considered almost the impossible thing. that would be to score that second pinfall and take away this end. And
going down into almost a guillotine, a crossbody ride, trying to get Wahoo's shoulders down. Wahoo gets into the ropes and breaks the count.
So Wahoo now utilizing the ring ropes as an ally, and I can't say that I blame him.
Not at all. At this point in the match, Ric Flair's done everything he can do to try to win. He's used the ropes, the ring apron, the posts, and everything else. Wahoo saving himself right there, getting his leg in the ropes. There's nothing wrong with that.
Wahoo chopping back into the chest of Ric Flair. Flair firing with a tremendous forearm, then a chop into the chest. Wahoo fires back again and again. Wahoo, that one came from the backyard and staggers the champion. The champion's eyes crossing.
Almost 45 minutes into the match. 45 minutes of just beating and pounding and tearing and moving. It amazes me to sit out. I've wrestled plenty of hour matches, and when you're in there, you know you're getting tired, you know you're hurt, but you don't realize how long that time is. And sitting out here like we are, it seems like they've been in there for a week already.
Chops back and forth. And, referee knocked to one side, caught one right in the side of the rib cage. And it is a Ric Flair and Irish whip. Wahoo McDaniel hooks him into a slide. He's got him
down. He's got him. Questionable if he would have had him pinned, even if the referee was there. Flair was moving. His shoulders were up and down. He didn't have him pinned steady, but with that referee not being there, we just don't know. That could have been it.
And it is Ric Flair smashing McDaniel into the ring post. Referee Bill Alfonso finally coming to his feet and is really shaking it, trying to get things straightened out in his mind. Meanwhile, it is Wahoo McDaniel outside the ring, having been smashed into that ring post. Wahoo coming up very, very slowly. Flair outside after him once again. Flair pressing his advantage now. And Flair smashing him into the ring post once again. Wahoo back into the ring, and of course that's where Flair wants him.
That's right. You can't defeat a man out on the floor. You can hurt him, you can punish him, but you've got to pin him, or you've got to beat him in the ring. Flair.
Count of three. It's all tied up, one fall apiece. One fall apiece is indicated by referee Bill Alfonso. And we'll be back with a third and deciding fall after we pause for these important words. That steel ring post had taken its toll, and McDaniel has been pretty badly lacerated. The referee checked and asked Wahoo if he wanted to stop, and obviously the answer was absolutely not.
As long as he can able to breathe, he's not going to stop.
Waiting now for the bell to ring to commence the third and final deciding fall of this match. 2 out of 3 falls. Each man holds 1 fall. 1 fall each. This is the third and determining fall. And it is Flair charging in. Knee to the rib cage. Tries to set him. Good block in it. Wahoo McDaniel getting the suplex.
Right now, Ric Flair could be in more trouble than ever before, because you know when you get an animal hurt or you get a human being hurt, things come out of them that they normally wouldn't do. They respond differently. Their thinking is different. And Wahoo McDaniel knows that he's hurt. He knows that he's going to have to win this match, and the only way he's going to be able to do it is by going after Ric Flair in a whole different manner than he has so far.
And Flair now hurdles him through the ropes and now takes him back. And this time, it's Wahoo McDaniel retaliating. Wahoo McDaniel jamming the head of Ric Flair into that steel ring post. And Flair taking a severe blow to the head. Blocks that time, fires away to the midsection. Wahoo McDaniel fires back at him and drives him into that post once again. tried to get his hand up there. How effective it was, I don't know. But nonetheless, Flair's face is now becoming a crimson mask as he too has felt the sting of that steel on his head.
That's exactly what I was saying. Wahoo McDaniel has tried to wrestle. He's tried to do everything correctly. Ric Flair's the one that decided to take him outside and run his head into the post. But when he tried it the second time, Wahoo had already been that route once, got his leg up and blocked it. Flair left himself wide open. And believe me, anybody can run into that post all the times they want to. That pole is not going to move, and it's not going to bend. It's going to break whatever runs into it. In this particular case, it's been a pair of heads.
Chop into the throat of Flair, and Flair, the champion, in trouble. Comes through underneath that bottom rope. And Flair now imploring Wahoo not to punish him anymore, but Wahoo McDaniel closes in once again. Flair, the champion, in a lot of trouble now.
Second breath coming in. That second win. Wahoo McDaniel, you can feel it. The people in the building can feel it. He knows he's got Flair hurt. He knows this is a chance of a lifetime. Going back for that sleeper that he won the first fall with. He's got him. If he can just hold him. If he can just hold him.
Question now is Ric Flair. He knows what happened to him early on, and he has to feel darkness closing in as Wahoo McDaniel continues to mount pressure on that sleeper of Flair, desperately trying to twist his head, twist his body, get to those ring ropes, anything to break this hold. And Flair.
It worked once. It worked for him once. Is he going to do it? Is lightning going to strike twice? He's going down.
He is beginning to fade. The arms of Morpheus closing. No, sir, he got that turnbuckle. Wahoo McDaniel not aware of the fact he had that sleeper hold on like a pit bull. He was not going to give it up. I don't believe he was even aware of the fact. He was probably stunned when he came backwards. And, all right. Ric Flair has successfully, but perhaps unknowingly defended his world title. We'll be back with a wrap-up right after these words.
The winner of 2 out of 3 falls and still NWA World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, Ric Flair.
Well, as you could hear by the crowd's response to that, they were not too pleased over what just happened. I'll tell you what, Mike, I don't think Flair even realized what he had done when he got his foot up on that turnbuckle, but maybe we can take a look at it and see if we can't catch.
You know, at that point in the match, both men were so tired after, almost 55 minutes of wrestling that Wahoo just knew he had him beat. He had won the first fall with it. Flair, his head was spinning from being run into that post, losing blood quickly. You could see the strength going out of him. He knew then what he was doing, to push over backwards, but here he's almost out.
I just wonder, we'll take a look at it again, Mike. You know what I wonder here? I wonder if when he shoved back with that leg and Wahoo went backwards, he was carrying 245 pounds on top of him. I wonder if it stunned him temporarily, but he had such a locked position around the neck of Ric Flair that he didn't release, but his own shoulders were down for the count.
Well, that too, he was stunned, I'm sure, but at this point, he had no idea he was being counted. He was in control. He was the aggressor. He was in control, like we said in that earlier match when Hector Guerrero pinned the man. All it was a hand laying on him, but that was the 1, 2, 3. Right there, Wahoo was tired. He was hurt. He had won that first fall with a sleeper, and he just knew that he wasn't thinking about getting pinned. He lost his position in the ring, and those things Flair might not have even realized that he was in a pinning position. That's a call that the referee made. It was the referee's decision. It could be...
All right, I'll tell you what. We'll be back to wrap up right after we pause.
$10,000 disappointed fans, and I'm sure you are too, Wahoo. What's the future hold?
Well, John, I'm down, but I'm not out. You know, I had my chance. Evidently, I didn't take good advantage of it, but I'll tell you one thing, Flair, I'll be back. That's all from here.
Cindy Gordon Soley speaking on behalf of Mike Graham, saying that our prayers are with the Fritz von Erich family, and we hope for a speedy recovery for Mike von Erich. And for the Battle of the Belts in Tampa, Florida, this is us saying so long.